our view.
You are kept apart that you may be separately fleeced of your earnings. The famous Georgia populist leader Tom Watson told a crowd of black and white laborers in 1892. You are made to hate each other because upon that hatred is rested the keystone of the arch of financial despotism, which enslaves you both. Elites established and perpetrated segregation, he argued, benefiting in multiple ways. From the era of slavery to the struggles of working class people today, many of the problems plaguing the South and indeed the nation are a direct result of racism. Many vestiges of that past have reemerged in Trump's America. As we impetuously tumble toward an uncertain future, we must always remember the oligarchs of this country have fortunes to protect, and white supremacy has always helped assure their place at the apex of society. As Watson rightfully crowed to his interracial audience 126 years ago, you are deceived and blinded that you may not see how this race antagonism perpetuates a monetary system which beggars both. Whether pitting laborers of different races against each other, stoking racial fears through a sensationalistic and profit-driven media, or politically scapegoating entire ethnic groups, America's white elite have successfully modernized age-old strategies of using racism to prevent the formation of a broad coalition of people along class lines and across racial lines. Certainly, there is no apology for the racism of less affluent whites, nor any excuse, but we should still seek to understand the ways in which white supremacy and power remain entirely intertwined. By connecting the past struggles of Southerners to the present-day issues of the American working class, the long history of the wealthiest whites using racism for their own advantage and economic gain becomes evident quickly. In Wetumpka, Alabama, just 1 year before the outbreak of the Civil War, an illiterate poor white named Franklin Vike was dragged down to the margin of the river, laid across the log, and whipped by a throng of black guards. Not content with using their slaves to humiliate and punish the impoverished white, the local vigilance committee, led by the most affluent slaveholders in town, ordered Vike then be stripped naked and ridden on a rail. From the lintel of his own door, he was repeatedly hanged until he was black in the face. A source reported, making nearly unbelievable the fact Vike survived the ordeal. While the local master class had once charged a poor man with being a Negro, and afterwards with associating with Negroes, his particular offense this time was one of the most common charges throughout the Deep South. The owners of flesh ordered and executed the torturous violence, the vicious beating, and the savage lynching, all due to the unfounded allegation that Vike sold liquor to Negroes. As the possibility of secession loomed, cases like Vike's became increasingly common throughout the slave societies of the plantation South, as the master class obsessively sought to establish segregation between poor whites and blacks. While the enslaved, free blacks and poor whites had long interacted socially, trading, and often laboring together, planters' fear over a biracial coalition of disgruntled Southerners grew to a fever pitch by the 1850s. Between Northern abolitionists and Republicans, the enslaved themselves, and poor white Southerners, slaveholders faced a potential three-front assault on slavery. Attempting to protect their primary source of both wealth and income, masters controlled the plantation South much like a police state, censoring ideas and information, and brutalizing and murdering anyone who dared defy their carefully crafted hierarchy. Poor whites who owned neither land nor slaves comprised about a third of the Deep South's white population by the Civil War era. Following the economic panic of 1837, in which thousands of small landholders became landless, slaveholders from the Upper South began selling their slaves south to cotton planters. By the 1850s, slave traders had moved over 800,000 enslaved laborers to the Deep South, flooding the labor market and displacing unskilled and semi-skilled white laborers. Shut out from much of the region's agricultural work, many poor white laborers spent the late antebellum period experiencing long bouts of unemployment or underemployment. Though impoverished whites were never subjected to the daily violence and degrading humiliations of racial slavery, they did suffer tangible socioeconomic consequences from living in a slave society. Poor whites had no real stake in maintaining slavery. Instead, they witnessed daily how slavery drove down their wages and effectively nullified their bargaining power as laborers. Furthermore, poor whites and African Americans not only drank, socialized, and slept together, but because both groups were shut out of the formal economy, they also created an entire underground economy, a black market in which they traded liquor, food, and services. Due to these professional and personal ties between poor whites and blacks, and as evidenced in Franklin Vikes' case, segregation became more and more difficult for the master class to maintain. Southern laws placed increasingly strict behavioral regulations on sex, drinking, gambling, and other social interactions, further monitoring poor whites and blacks in an attempt to keep them separated. Poor whites and free blacks were often targeted for vagrancy, the criminal act of quite literally doing nothing. Yet incarceration alone could not keep one of the world's largest slave systems running efficiently. Instead, the master class needed a total system of policing, spying on, and torturing poor people. Always working in tandem with local criminal justice systems, the Deep South's vigilante groups were populated by the same men who ran local and state governments, comprised the slave patrols, and lorded over and brutalized the enslaved privately. Vigilance committees had existed in the Deep South as early as the mid-1830s and began rapidly springing up throughout the region in the 1850s. They essentially monitored the behaviors and beliefs of both blacks and less affluent whites, precursors to the Ku Klux Klan. These terrorists used violence and the threats of it to preserve the institution of slavery and keep poor whites under control. While historians will never know precisely how many people endured the horrors of pro-slavery Southern mobs and vigilantes, it is clear the bloodshed intensified in the decade before the Civil War. There were at least 300 reported lynchings each year in what would become the Confederacy. While many Americans have long wondered why there were not more instances of slave rebellions or of biracial revolts among the lower classes, the reality is different. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of uprisings planned by poor whites and blacks in the decades leading to secession. But the all-powerful slaveholders either crushed these rebellions in their infancy or before they even began, or stopped them before they even began. The old trope of docility among the Southern underclasses, therefore, is just incorrect. There was, in fact, a burning desire for freedom and change, but the master class had devised a system so complete and so vicious that the enslaved, free blacks, and poor whites were essentially rendered powerless in the face of oppression. This total system, predicted on brute violence, was so compelling the master class would employ it once again in the aftermath of the Civil War to keep freed men and women in a state of bondage. And while today the violence carried out on behalf of the white elite is less frequent and much more discreet, grave concerns remain in our region's future. Even given the Herculean efforts of recent social justice movements, from Moral Mondays to Black Lives Matter to the Poor People's Campaign, little of substance has changed for working class Southerners. Falling incomes, rising poverty, harsh labor laws, inadequate social safety nets, and mass incarceration systems have brought the country, and particularly the South, to a seemingly depressed and crippled state. By allowing and even perpetrating the spread of civil ignorance, by propagating historical lies and political untruths, and by engendering an insidious form of racism, upper-class whites continue to maintain their position atop society, amassing ungodly fortunes at the expense of the rest of us, black and white alike.
Hey, Dallas.
I'm Alvin.
I'm Charles.
And welcome to Tit for Tat.
This and that.
This and that. Not this and that. This and that. Didn't we go through this last week? Anyway, hey world. Today we are going to jump into this election.
Hey, Deshaun.
Hey, Deshaun. We're going to jump into this election debacle, to me. And America voted against having a democracy. We saw who Trump was, which a lot of us knew who Trump was from the beginning, from years and years and years. But he showed us who he was during his last presidency in 2016, all the way up to 2020. He showed us who he was. We saw what he did, but which was nothing.
Right.
I mean, he made a mess of the COVID, of that situation. He
pushed the blame on everybody else. He doesn't take accountability.
He gave out top secrets and stuff to other dictators around the world. He was just very careless with our democracy.
And when it came to Black people, it seemed like he really cared. Like the George Floyd thing, it was like, oh, okay, whatever. It didn't really seem like he really cared about us as a Black people,
right?
Or even women, like grabbing them by the coochies and whatever he said, pussies and and even the way he speaks of Latino people, it's just like he has no consideration, no love, no compassion, no empathy. He's just not concerned about anybody but himself, white people, rich people, So yeah, he showed us who he is, and evidently America likes him. They feel the same way he does, or whatever. They feel like there's a benefit in having him there, just like they did the last time. So this is what y'all want. This is what you get.
So I kind of want to start off with, is history repeating itself?
45, and now he's 47. So, and even before that,
Yeah.
These dictators and shit.
Yeah. When you go back to the actually, you can go all the way back to before the Civil War. Where these rich white owners, let me get rid of this banner. So that's Lee Atwater, and Al Sharpton and James Brown. Lee Atwater was a racist. Okay. Here we are again, with this. And back then, there go, Al Sharpton and James Brown accepting some type of award or a plaque or something from him. I know that they're not, they weren't for any of that type of stuff or whatever. But he brought in this Southern strategy. He brought it in, in the 60s, which carried over into other administrations. But his tactic was to scare white people into voting for the Republicans, getting them on their side, to demonize the Blacks, to make us out to be, villains and criminals and, and all that. So this election is just. But anyway, he took his cues from back before the Civil War. When the rich landowners, got with the, pulled the indentured servants over the poor whites and stuff. Because before the Civil War, the poor whites were treated just like just like the slaves and stuff was. They were treated just like even some of the freed slaves or whatever. But they were treated the same. The blacks, the blacks, the poor whites, the slaves and stuff. Everybody, they commingled together. And the slave owner, the rich whites treated the poor whites and stuff the same way they did treat the slaves and stuff. Okay, but their thing was, how do we get these white people on our side and quit mingling and being on the slave side or whatever, especially with abolitionists and stuff out there, right? So, so their thing was to, and I played the video, I played a little video earlier where I was reading all about, letting everybody know all about this, but that was their tactic to turn the poor whites against the blacks, and in that way to make the blacks, to make the poor whites feel inferior over the blacks, whatever. At least so, okay, so we're not them. Even though we were all friends and we all socialized together, we traded together, we even slept in the same places together, or whatever. We didn't, even though the rich whites didn't mingle with us,
right?
And they didn't mingle with them either.
Right.
They treated them like dirt. Okay, but in order to get them on their side, especially with this war coming up, with that Civil War and stuff coming up, they needed the poor whites on their side. So what they did was they put out scare tactics and stuff. Okay, this was pre Ku Klux Klan, but they put out scare tactics and stuff to draw the white people onto their side. That's the same thing that's happening now. Like Trump. He's like a demagogue, right? Where you play on people's fears,
right? You
play on their insecurities. You tell them that they're coming to rape your women, or whatever. The blacks are coming to rape the white, the precious white women, the delicate, our women. They're coming to steal from us. They want to take your land away from you. They want, the Negroes want to come and take your land away from you, poor white people, even though it was the rich white people who owned the land, and the slaves and stuff. And you can pretty much say they kind of owned them too, basically, because they still passed laws and stuff against them.
Right.
So what happened is, in order to get them on their side, they started, passing laws to give the whites more power, right? The poor whites, to give them more power, and they gave them more power actually over the blacks, and then so when you feel superior, when so, and it's kind of like today and stuff, like that, how we can demean people, get on social media and call people names and do a lot of stuff to, how we can harm people today.
These errors about yourself.
Yeah, whatever, because when we don't feel good about ourselves, or we're insecure about ourselves or what's going on in our world, well, at least I'm not them.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of what where we're back at again, where the back in the pre-civil war time, well, we're going to give these poor whites some, we're going to give them this, whatever. We'll give them a little bit of land too, and we'll make you overseers over the blacks, whatever. So that, so then back then, that's when the whites started turning against the blacks, even though we were all friends and commingled and stuff back then. It became like, well, now we're, yeah, we're poor, you know, because they called them white trash and stuff back there then too, you know. But yeah, we're poor, but at least we're not them.
Right.
And so that's when they started treating us the same way as the slave owners and stuff did, you know, with the exception of the abolitionists and stuff who tried to help, you know, help free slaves and stuff, you know, like that. But that's how they got them on their side. And with Lee Atwater, he brought that back, okay? Because back then, you know, there was, you know, people were suffering, you know, like whites, you know, like the poor whites and stuff, you know, coal miner, all different type of stuff. You know, they were suffering just like everybody else were suffering, but the rich white weren't suffering. You know, and then this is how they started eventually trying to make this middle class. You know, so we'll set you up above the blacks here, and we'll get you on our side, and you'll move over to our party instead of the party that actually, you know, helps you,
right?
You know, whatever. We're gonna lie. We're gonna scheme. We're gonna put out scare tactics and fear mongering and stuff, you know, like that to pull the rest of the whites, you know, who are not on our side right now. We're gonna pull them over here. So we'll make them feel and, you know, set them above them, and then that way we'll get them on our side.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's how, you know, that tactic. So now we're here in 2024. Which it really started, you know, this really started back in the Nixon era, going into the Reagan era, you know, whatever, and then some of the Bush era also, right? But now when Trump came in, Trump pulled from their playbook. He pulled from the Old South, and he pulled from the 60s playbook with Lee Atwater, you know, and because it worked back then, it worked with Lee Atwater, okay? And it just worked again, okay? Because he just pulled 20% of blacks, you know, which was 1% more than what it was when he ran in 2016, okay? So he just pulled them, and he just pulled the Latinos, you know, he pulled the Arabs and the Asians.
So I do want to mention, stay there though. I want to mention that I was, you know, I just got Netflix, y'all, because T-Mobile has this thing where you get Netflix or whatever for free, and I did see there's a movie now called The Apprentice, and of course I didn't really want to look at it, but I probably will just to kind of see what this is all about. It's called The Apprentice, and it's based on Donald Trump, and this guy, you probably know this guy. And it kind of, what you're saying, it kind of goes along with what you're saying. So he teamed up with this guy named Roy Cohen. You know him?
Roy Cohen, yeah.
Yes, okay.
So he was a lawyer.
So I didn't know anything about him. So it says Roy Cohen was a controversial American lawyer and political fixer who rose to prominence in the 1950s as a chief counsel for Senator Joseph McCarthy during the Army McCarthy hearings and all that kind of stuff, right? He's known for his ruthless tactics, his aggressive style. Cohen became a powerful figure in New York's legal and political scenes, right? So in 1970s, Cohen became a mentor to the young Donald Trump, who was then building his real estate empire. Cohen taught Trump strategies he would later become known for, such as never admitting faults, counterattacking critics, and aggressively using the legal system to intimidate opponents. Trump later hired Cohen as his personal attorney, including during a federal lawsuit over racial discrimination, because, you know, he wouldn't sell his properties to black people or whatever. So it kind of goes along with what you're saying, like, not only did he take from this guy, but he teamed up with Cohen and became this ruthless kind of like almost a dictator, like, you know? So yeah, when you said that, that made me kind of want to look and see what this Roy Cohen was about, you know? So yeah.
Right. Yeah, he was the all-powerful lawyer. He was corrupt, okay? And just like
he died.
I don't know.
It says, okay, what am I close? Cohen's health deteriorated due to AIDS.
Oh, he did? Yeah, I know he died. pay attention to what he died from. I just knew he was like evil. And then so you get into Trump. So our democracy is like, I mean, it still was close. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was still close. It's still a, basically a left center. I mean, a left country, left country and a right country, and then whatever's in between, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw what happened with Trump and the catastrophe that ensued when he was president in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So we turned around and did this again. Okay, we voted him out, and then we turned around and voted him back in. So America voted against our democracy. So do they want a dictatorship? Is that what they want? What do they want? An autocracy? They want to be ruled over by a dictator, by force.
Well, I would say this. I believe that too, but I will say that this is what America does. They jump. You have a Democrat, then you have I hardly ever see, and I'm sure there are times, and I probably should have researched it. I'm pretty sure there are times where there probably has been a Democrat in office for 4 years or whatever. Then there probably was another Democrat for 4 years, or a Republican for 4 years, and then another Republican. But most of the time, it's Democrat for 4 years, it's Republican for 4 years. It goes back and forth because you think that this side is going to bring something better. So it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it's not a surprise because this is what America does. They jump party from party from party from party. However, this guy is
stop for a second though, because no, it doesn't jump back every 4 years. It usually when you get a president now, every now and then it will, we'll vote a president out after the 4 years. But usually we like our presidents to run and serve both terms. So usually they're in for 8 years. So, but it's usually when they get voted out after 1 year, then it's kind of like a scandal. It's like they think, oh, you really have
right.
We really hate you. But most presidents do serve 2 terms. And even if we don't like them, they'll vote them back in for the second term because they want them to get in there and fix.
And you're right
to help the legislation.
So you're right
about that. Lame duck, really.
You're right about that. So even if you are there for 4 or 8 years, usually if you're a Democrat that was in there for 4 or 8 years, that next president is probably going to be a Republican. It's just the way America does. They go back and forth.
And then usually during the midterms, usually if one takes the House or the Senate, sometimes one can have the House and the other one can have the Senate, but then sometimes either party can take both, and then during the midterms it'll swing back, whatever. What I'm afraid of this time though, because that's normal.
Yeah,
that's normal. That's that's the way how our politics work. But this time, it's different.
It's different
because people did not, I'm not going to say, I think most people, not most people, because over 50-some% voted for him, right? But most of us who didn't vote for him, we took it seriously about that 2025 Project 2025. They've been working on this Project 2025 for 30, 40 years. People don't realize that they play the slow game, okay? And each election, they get something else passed. They get something else passed where they take away a right of yours. They take away a right of yours and mine.
That's right there.
And they slowly do that, and we don't pay attention because it was just 1 or 2 things, And so we was like, oh, it's not that bad or whatever. But those 1 or 2 things eventually pile up. Okay,
see, that's it, right? The rights, because most of the people that voted for him, their main thing was the economy. And my thing is, the economy is going to be the economy. And I'm okay with that. We've been through worse. We made it through. But to step on my rights, that's what we were looking at. And that's what I don't think all the voters that voted for him were looking at. All they had in mind was their economy. They were thinking about their pockets. We were concerned about our rights.
Okay. So since you brought up the economy, it's not the economy.
It's
Okay,
not.
it's never really the economy. That's a white person's excuse, for them to not vote for a Democrat or not to vote for a woman or not to vote for somebody that's black, or whatever. That they always use that as an excuse. It's not the economy. There's nothing wrong with our economy.
But it matters to them though.
It does.
But it shouldn't.
It's smoking.
Right.
That's the excuse. Okay, that's what they can use so nobody would say that they're racist.
Right.
Okay, because white people do not like to be called racist. Okay, men do not like to be called sexist. Okay, straight people, yeah, sexist or misogynist. Straight people don't like to be called homophobic, or whatever. So it's these labels and titles that they don't like put on them, even though it's them. Okay, so they can hide behind whatever they need to, whatever they can use the economy to hide behind that. Okay, so but since you said the economy, I'm gonna go ahead and then I'm gonna play this real quick, because this was from our live on Tuesday when we were doing the election, right?
Yes.
And then as I went back and was, watching that and, listening to the, the results and stuff come in, I knew it wasn't the economy. I knew it was because of misogyny and racism. Racism and misogyny. Those are the two things. Okay.
That's what I said.
They made us try to disguise it and say homophobia and stuff too, or whatever. But it's always been racism, and misogyny, sexism. Because if you know, from the time the United States has been in conception, they don't want to give women any type of power, even though women get out there and they're taking it. According to the Constitution, we are all equal. So we have to get out there. We had to get out there and fight. Women had to get out there and fight, and us men who got out there and fought with them, or whatever, for their rights, just like we get out and fight for queer rights.
Right.
So we get out and fight for black rights. We get out and fight for everybody's rights. Right. But they've always say the economy, but they actually are voting. Really, it's because of this and your genetics.
Yeah.
They don't want women to be in power,
which is crazy to me because your mother is a woman and she ran a household for the most part. You know what I mean? Your dad probably went out and got the money and brought in the finances or whatever. But your mom ran that house. Most of these straight men, that woman is the one that's motivating you. She's pushing you to be a better dude. She's expanding your horizons to think about things greater than just, the right now. Most of the time it's women that are empowering men. So women have always been that role model, that person that is ruling. She does it silently. She does it humbly, and you don't see it. And so, women have always done this, but to give her an office, oh no, they don't want to do that. But women has done that. And then the Latinos, they already got this thing about, this macho, like, no, the woman is less than me or whatever. So I can see, why they, are like that or whatever. But still, that's not right. If she's standing for something way better than this guy, why would you do that just because of her, like you said, her genitals?
Yeah, it was misogyny, sexism, and racism. She has 3 strikes against her. Okay, she's black, she's a woman, and there's some men, and she's biracial. That didn't sit well with for some reason that didn't sit well with a lot of black men, and a lot of black women didn't like that either.
And she's a little bit more liberal than they would like her to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's liberal, but she's pretty much a moderate, actually. She's pretty much a moderate, but she still has a lot of liberal leaning. She leans liberal, and but she has a lot of moderation there too. Which is what most people like our presidents to fall in. They like them to be moderate or whatever. But now things have become so extreme where where it's all right or it's all left, or whatever. But and honestly, I'm hard left. So I'm one of those ones that's hard on the left. I've never been in the middle, and I've never been, nowhere near the right.
I'm just for all people,
Yeah, I'm for equality and rights for everybody. And to me, that's far right to me. That's democratic to me. Okay. So, but I'm gonna play this about the economy because that's what people are going out and saying. That's what white people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the white people are saying. The economy.
Mm-hmm.
The blacks. Most of us blacks, we know better. But with the exception of the 20% of blacks out there who voted Republican, who voted against their own best interests, they wasn't worried about the economy. They said a whole bunch of other different stuff that had nothing to do with the economy of why they voted for Trump.
Right.
A lot of those ones that voted for Trump,
it was all about abortion and women rights. The economy never showed up really.
It was the men that did that. Okay. It was sexism.
Yeah.
And it was misogyny.
Yeah.
Okay. That's exactly what it was. They were out there saying, I don't want a woman president. Yeah. I don't think a woman could lead. What if this happens? And then, she's not going to be able to do that. But for some reason, they thought Donald Trump would. And he didn't do it last time. He's an idiot. Okay.
See, I would believe them about the economy.
I don't believe
I would. I'm saying I would if that's what they were saying. But like you said, they were never.
That's
saying
not what
that.
they're saying.
They were always saying, abortion and this and this and this. I think I'm trying to be trying to see their point. If I was the wealthy, I would think the economy would matter to me. Because that's where I'm going to thrive or fail. However, you never mentioned that though. You never mentioned that on your platform. But I could see how that could be a big thing for you because that's where you're getting your money from.
That's for the upper middle class. The upper middle class and the wealthy. They talk about the economy.
Yeah,
okay?
But it never came up, really.
But when you vote against your own best interests, when you vote against the Republicans, they're taking away your economy from you. It's the Democrats who were trying to give you the economy. It's the Democrats who were, giving you Medicare. It's the Democrats that give you Medicaid. It's the Democrats that gave us HCA, Obamacare.
Right.
It's, a whole lot of the legislation and stuff that's out there. It was the Democrats who put this legislation in the law and got it passed, and the Republicans are the ones who fought against it. Okay, and it's always the Republicans who want to take. It's the Democrats who want to give,
right?
And it's the Republicans who want to take from you,
right?
And then for us black folks out there who went and voted against your best interest, and even and if you're poor, lower middle class, and you went out there and voted for them, you're not still going to have anything because they're not going to give you anything. They're going to take away. They're about to take away from you. Now they've already started. Okay, they've already started putting in what they're going to do or whatever. But come January 20, come January 20 after Inauguration Day. Okay, America. Brace yourself, okay? Because you are going to be screwed, and and it's not going to be with lube, okay?
Right?
Because you are going to be screwed in the butt,
right?
And it's not going to be with lube.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be painful. But the first two things I've heard is the deportation and the trans. That's like his number 2.
They're going to get deported, okay? They already are working. They've already worked on that. Okay, so you're going to get deported. So you're going to get what you asked for. Okay, and you blacks that voted for the Republican stuff, it's going to get worse. Okay, and you're going to get what you asked for because we don't have the House, we don't have the Senate, we don't have the Supreme Court, we don't have the presidency. Okay, so and with the margin that we have lost. We do not have veto power to stop the any judicial nominees putting in. Right. We don't have the veto power to overrule or override any legislation that the Republicans are putting in. Right. And they're putting in legislation so that Trump doesn't even have to go out of office. He doesn't. where he can stay in the
Stay
office.
in.
They're putting in legislation to get rid of the
voting process.
to get rid of. So we may not, it's a possibility we may not be voting again for a long time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is scary.
But here's on the economy.
Yes, come on, video.
Alongside the reality that the United States economy is the envy of the world,
And absolutely.
that the only reason there's a positive
This is
economic
another reason.
outlook globally
And
is
that's my
because the
favorite.
United States economy is doing so well, it's dragging everybody else upward. It's the best job market in the history of the United States. Inflation is back to where it was, not only just before COVID, but before Donald Trump left office, right? I mean, this is the inflation numbers, the economic growth numbers, the fiscal numbers, the U.S. standing in the world numbers are all off the charts positive. Even the freaking stock market, right? All off the charts positive. And yet, the old pain from having gone through the rise in prices, which is over, and which we weathered better than every other advanced economy in the world. To me, it can't be prescriptive because of what's happened since, because it's alongside the reality that.
So you see what I'm saying? So they're saying it's the economy. Okay, it's not the economy. Okay, the Republicans will lie, they scheme, and then there's a certain percentage of us blacks, Latinos, whatever, that buys into that. So it's not the economy. Okay. Here's the thing. People don't want to read. Okay. They want you to tell them everything. Okay. We have a lazy society now where people do, a lot of people, some of them are just uneducated. Yeah. And some of them can't read or whatever, but they're not going out researching. They're not going up to look. You have this internet, the Googlets, okay? You have all of this out here, so you can go out there and actually do the real research, not this bull crap that, that you keep finding all over different social medias of, this negative this or whatever. We get wrapped up into a whole bunch of other bullshit instead of sometimes instead of the stuff.
So we need to change our minds, basically, because a lot of people don't think about politics until an election.
But then we have local elections. Okay, if you're only thinking about politics when the presidential election come up, and then that's all you're going to do is go and vote in the presidential election, you're screwing yourself anyway, because we have local elections. The local elections is really what decides, what funding and all the stuff you're going to get for your neighborhoods, for your children, for your schools and stuff. Those are the local elections and stuff, like that. The presidential election, and with the Senate and Congress, all with the House of Representatives and the Senate and all that type of stuff. Yeah, they're the ones who make federal laws, and stuff, like that, and protections to help us all. Okay, right. But when you go and vote against that because you didn't do any research, it's to me, it's just like how people read that Bible. You know what I'm saying? They sit there and they listen to the preacher preaching from the pulpit, and then they don't, and then they skim over the Bible, or they take what he says or she says as what it is, and then they go out and they discriminate and they use it to harm. They can use it for good, but a lot of times they use it to harm other people. But they take that, and it's the same thing they do with, some of this social media stuff where people are putting up negative stuff that's not even true, but people aren't going out to read to see what actually is true. Right. And then they go out there and they vote against their best interest. And then what happens is, then they're complaining about poor pitiful me. Right. Well, why is this happening to me? Right. Why, why don't I have why is this so and so? Because you keep voting against it. Yourself. Y'all keep going over there to those Republicans, even though they're abusing you. Okay, and it's like being in an abusive relationship. You get in. You keep going back, and then you keep going back to these abusive relationships or something, or you stay in them too long and get abused. And it's like, does America like abuse? Do we like, do we like to be beat down? Do we like being in relationships with narcissistic people? Because Trump And a lot of those Republicans are very narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do we want somebody where, you know, do we want our freedoms and stuff taken away? You know, because all great nations can fall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And with this type of bullshit like
Mm-hmm.
this, okay, if he gets in there and he doesn't doesn't get out, you know, and we can't get the House or the House or the Senate or something in the next 2 years, next 2 years, when the elections are back up again, we can be screwed for a long time.
Right.
Right. And that's going to hurt, a lot of us.
Right. Right.
It's just going to hurt a lot of people. So what these, I think I'm really angry. I already know how white people are going to vote. Okay. They vote like this all the time. They grin in our face, pretend like oh, you're my friend. I love, this type of stuff or whatever, but they really go and vote against us. Yeah. Really, they'll say the economy, but it's like, no, I don't want you to take my power away from me.
Exactly.
And if I give you some power, you know what I'm saying? If I give you power, if I give you this or something, like that, then, I'm gonna end up, I might end up down there like you all or something, like that. Or we have to stay in power because if they get into power or whatever, they're gonna treat us. They're gonna treat us the same way that we treat them, or they're gonna take away our freedom, and they'll take away our way of living, or whatever. That we'll end up having the way they perceive us of how we live. We're not all, most of us are not like the way they perceive us anyway. And it's not all white people.
No, not all.
There's some good white people out there. There's some good of everybody out there. But the ones of you who are not, that's who we're talking about.
And to go back to what you were saying before, how he tried to change the minds of the middle class or lower class white people that think, hey, come over here with us so you can be more superior. His message to me is really for rich white people, or people that, are in a certain tax bracket or whatever. What they fail to realize, even though he did stand on a lot of I'm going to bring job creation or whatever, look at his best friend or one of his friends is Elon Musk, the Elon Musks of the world and all those people. When they create jobs, they're not creating jobs for you or for me. They're creating jobs for robots. So if you vote for them, you're going to be replaced as well. You think you're benefiting from them. But Elon Musk is all about AI, going to the moon, going out of space or whatever. That's going to erase not only Black people, but that's going to erase white people too. So even though he puts up this, this good front, I'm going to create all these jobs and everybody's going to be working. He went to Michigan, he went to Detroit and talked about those factory workers oh, anybody can do this. And, he put them down, and that's why they didn't even want him back. Don't bring him back over here or whatever. He puts people down. But these are the people that built your hotels, worked in your hotels or whatever. They built a foundation on where you're standing, and you just want to get rid of them or whatever because now they're no use to you anymore. So it's like, man, please.
Well, he's always been for the wealthy. He like I said, he's very narcissistic. It's all about him, whatever. But now that he's back in, he's going to rule like a dictator, and he's already said that. He has said that. People didn't believe him, so now we have to be sit here and be punished because of a few defectors,
right,
or whatever. I'm just really disappointed in, not the blacks who voted for democracy, but for that swayed the election. You blacks and Latinos who didn't, who voted against democracy, who voted for Trump and stuff, and the ones who didn't vote, You know, not the ones who couldn't vote because of some illness or for some reason they couldn't get to the vote, but you ones who didn't vote. There was more people who didn't vote this time than in the previous elections. And then even in this election, it wasn't, you know, the whole nation didn't even vote as much. You know what I'm saying? They didn't vote as much, but still Donald Trump took the majority of those votes. And then the blacks who are out there making fools of themselves all over these videos and all over the news and stuff, you know, praising Trump and whatever, you're not going to get anything.
So
okay? You're just going to get your rights taken away.
So my thing is, I believe they pushed a narrative. They pushed a narrative that black men didn't want to vote for her. And it grew legs, you know, it grew legs because they felt like, you know, one person said, oh, I don't feel like she has anything. My views are overlooked. She's overlooking me. You know, she doesn't see what a black man needs or whatever. And it just grew legs. And so therefore, you know, it was a thing. However, the polls, I mean, the stats show that black men did, you know, they did for the most part vote for Kamala. Older black people, we were like, our issues were like, we were with her because of her health care, you know, because we're older. We you know, we want health care, and we also see the racial injustice. So those were our big things. The younger black people, they weren't so much into the health care and the racial injustice. They think everything's fine. You know, I have all my friends are white, so I don't see any racial injustice. They were not so much, but I think it was divided, of course, where some were like, no, I'm going to go for Kamala because I'm a woman and I see that she's for her, you know, women's rights or whatever, and fertility and whatever. But a lot of young black voters, they just didn't, I don't know, they just didn't have the same concerns that some of the older people, but we did see that black men and women did, you know, vote for Kamala, despite, you know, maybe some of the things that they felt were not addressed or whatever. But they pushed a narrative to make it seem like, you know, we're not for her or whatever. And I think people jumped on board, like all these rappers and all these, because like, what's his name? Waka Flocka, I think he's been canceled, and Boozy, you know, a lot of them, they've been canceled because they needed to be, because they jumped on board. And because of their, you know, notoriety or whatever, they got people to get on board with them or whatever. But
and people are followers. So
yeah, they
follow behind it. Doing any research or whatever. They just heard them and it's like, oh. So you know, and Americans, you know, a lot of Americans are followers.
Yeah.
And then but that's, you know, that's a fallacy that when they say that black people only was voting for her because she was black or because she was a woman. No. Just like it was a fallacy when they said that black people only voted for Obama because he was black, right? And that's a fallacy because black people have been voting in this since we were granted the right to be able to vote. Black people have been voting, and they've been voting for white presidents. Okay,
we voted for him,
and then and then because we've had other people who have run that's black who have run for presidency. Okay, Al Sharpton has run. Quite a few black people have run for the president. You know, quite a few black people have run for other offices, for the Senate and for the, you know, for the House. You know, for for the judgeship. You know, quite a few people black people have done that. You know, and then we didn't vote for them. Right. You know, they might have got some votes, but most of us did not vote for them because we vote for what's going to be good for the population as a whole, right? You know, and if a black person gets up there and they're, you know, not offering anything or not doing it, we don't go vote for them. There's a few that do that, but we don't go vote for them. And you can tell because we go in there and then the high number that we have voted for these white presidents, right? But white people, they always go and vote for the white person, right? Okay. They didn't vote for Obama. Okay, it's always about somewhere between 28 to 32, somewhere around that percent of white people who vote Democratic.
Now they showed up at the convention, but when they got to the polls, it was something different,
Right?
Because they were all over the convention.
No, the ones that was at the Democratic convention voted Democratic. The white folks that was at the Democratic convention, they voted for Kamala. Okay, but the white people out there who will sit there and say, we're not voting because, I'm not voting because she's a woman. I'm not misogynistic, or I'm not racist. I'm not doing it because she's black or whatever. That's usually a lie. Okay, they'll use the economy as a way to cover that up, or they'll pick some other wedge issue or something and say, I voted because of the trans, or I voted because of religion or abortion and stuff. You're not. You people who say you're voting because of religion, you're not voting because of religion, okay? Because y'all go get abortions,
right?
Okay, your kids go get abortions,
and Trump
your grandkids go get abortions. Trump done had women get abortions,
right?
Okay, Trump. Here's the thing, y'all talk about your religion, but you voted for Satan, okay? You talk about a devil, you talk about Beelzebub, Satan, whatever name y'all give to whatever hell is or whatever stuff, y'all just voted for that. Okay, so which means, you're voting for really, all of our own destruction, because shit can happen. Shit can happen, and we don't know exactly what it is, or whatever, but it's not going to be good while he's in office or whatever. But all of you religious folks, because I was sitting there watching different stuff, and then all these white supremacists and stuff, I was seeing their videos and stuff, like that, and they keep bringing religion into it, and God bless America, and God this and God that and stuff. But they were the ones out there storming the Capitol, beating up people, people getting killed and stuff, like that, out there rioting, doing that type of stuff. They're the ones who want to take your rights and stuff away.
And tell me where God is okay with a felon, running
rapist,
a rapist, a felon, a criminal running the country.
You want to know why? Because that's them.
Because
birds of a feather flock together. That's them.
Because you make God in your own image. So if you're that way, then that's the way you see God. So you're okay with it because that's how you are. You're right.
And he's going around now saying he's God. Have you heard it? He's already said he's God. Okay, so you people, y'all think you're voting for a holy religious person, whatever, whatever. He's a demagogue. Okay, people, he's a demagogue, and you voted for a demagogue, a dictator, an autocrat. Okay, and then that's what we're going to get. Okay, and it's going to be painful. Okay, and then you're going to wish you're going to be regretting what you did, because most of you white folks, y'all really went out there and voted for him because he was white.
Right.
And you like to put that on us and say we do it, but we don't just go vote for somebody because they're black. Otherwise, we would have had all type of black people in office. Okay.
It was definitely a issue of race and gender.
Race and gender. And then you can disguise it as anything you want. Okay. And then, and all the people, the posters and the pundits and all of them, they're running around talking about, what did the Democrats do wrong? What could the Democrats fix? What can they do next time? And stuff, like that. We live in a racist society. Okay, we live in a sexist society. We live in a homophobic society. That's why it happened. Okay, going over there saying fixing this and getting the young people over here and getting the so and so. Well, a lot of those young people, it was by design that y'all relegated us to the poorer neighborhoods, didn't give us the funding for the schools, didn't give us didn't want to give us the jobs and all this other type of stuff. It's that type of stuff, right? Okay, y'all been planning this and doing that, okay, and now it has come to fruition. Okay, y'all slowly took away this from us. Y'all slowly didn't give us this law. You didn't pass this for the majority of the people or whatever. It was all selfishness. It was all for what, for you rich, white, upper middle class, whatever, and so y'all can hang on to power. Okay, some of us blacks didn't see that because some of us didn't go read.
Right. We
Okay.
didn't.
So we didn't go see, we'll go out there and do everything else out in the streets or whatever and stuff, but something that's important to us that really can help us as a community as a whole. A lot of us didn't go out there and fight for that. Okay. And we just gave it away. We just gave it away.
I want to say something right here, and I want to get to Deshaun's, because Deshaun has been talking. We need to read some of his comments.
Yeah, I put some of them up.
Okay, you've been putting them up. I want to say something to that because I want to say that, and I think I've heard other people like T.S. Manson also say this too, that and it's not. I don't want to blame these social media outlets like Shade Room and
some of them can be blamed.
Well, no. Well, they can, but for this, where I'm going, I don't want to blame them for this. And the Hollywood Unlocked and all that, I don't want to blame them for being responsible for actually doing the work for people. But I do want you to be responsible in putting information out there that's accurate, and that's true, and that benefits your audience. And I've also heard that some of those platforms are not even ran by Black people, but
of course,
but Black people saying,
white people own those,
right? But Shade Room is the #1 outlet that Black people go to or whatever. Yeah. And then sometimes they do share some good stuff, but for the most part, what I want to say. #1 is Black people, we have to do our research. And I shared last week and I did some research. I think they said Malcolm X said it, that if you want to hide something from a Black person, put it in a book. We have to read. We have to do our research. We have to Google. Like you said, Google is out here. We even have ChatGPT now. You can just ask the question, and it'll tell you. ChatGPT basically just does the Googling for you. So you don't have to go and do all this, whatever. It just tells you. But still, you want to go and do more than that. But so I want to say that first. But second, I also want to say to these outlets, be responsible with your platform. You have a platform that people are viewing. Some people, you're all they're going to read. Just to tell the truth, you're all they're going to read. You're all they're going to see. No, some people are not going to go no further than Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. They're not going to go any further than that. So take your platform that you have seriously, because in times like this is what we have. Had you been sharing the truth and the reality all this time, it might have went a different way, or she could have got more votes than what she did. But when you come up with this, just salacious stuff, just to be putting stuff out there or whatever, then people don't know what to believe. People don't know what to think. They're just gonna go. They're gonna run with it, and because I promise you. They made, and it was a narrative that they pushed. They made the economy seem like it was this big thing, and it put a lot of fear in people. And so that's why they like, well, I'm not clear on what she stands for, but he is really talking. And they pushed that narrative, and they made his platform of the economy and jobs and all that seemed like he really had his shit together.
He didn't even he didn't say anything, but all he did was say, "I'm gonna make America great again," and the economy. All he did was talk against everything. Trump did not put out any plans. He didn't do anything. He just said, "This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take away I'm going to send your asses back over the river." Back over the ocean or whatever. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put your ass in a concentration camp until we can get you back over there. I'm going to take away the right to an abortion. I'm going to put this stuff up here in a minute. But of the stuff that he said that he was going to take away. He didn't say he was going to give you anything. You're not getting a stimulus check, okay? And for you who think that Trump gave y'all and the Republicans gave y'all that stimulus check, it was not the Republicans. It was the Democrats who who did that, okay? And a few Republicans came over, and then that's how we was able to get it passed, because the majority of them voted against giving the Americans a stimulus check, okay? So if you think that Trump did that, he did not do that, okay? Right. But the other thing is, you know, I want to understand this too with Black folks. You know, why are we the only ones? Why are we the ones always out there telling other Black folks not to go vote? You know, that was part of it, okay? Because you have this social media and stuff, and everything gets around fast now. People in the barbershops, people, you know, they're here and there at work and stuff, and they're telling people, oh, I wouldn't go vote. I'm not going to vote for her. You know, I'm not going to vote. You know, I'm not vote. I don't like either one of them. I'm not voting for either one. I'm not voting at all and stuff. Why are Black folks the only ones always tell, you know, when our ancestors and they fought for us to have the right to vote. We did not have the right to vote, people, okay? We were beaten, killed, drugged down the street, you know, for the right to vote, you know, discriminated against or whatever. It was a hard-fought battle for us to have the right to vote. And for you people to get out there, you know, not the majority of us Blacks, okay, but for you, you know, for you to get out there and tell people not to vote,
the misinformed,
you know, yeah, and sometimes they can be so lazy. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to go vote then, and then you complain about the shit that happens to you after or whatever. But there's no other. I don't hear other ethnicities saying that I'm not going out to vote, even if they're saying they're going to vote for the opposition. Okay. They're not saying they're not saying, oh, don't go out there and vote. I only hear that usually. There might be a few exceptions to the rule, but mostly I hear that coming out of Black folks' mouths all the time. Don't vote, or I'm not voting and vote, or they're not doing anything for me. I'm not getting anything out of it, so I'm not voting, or I'm not voting for her because she's whatever. I wouldn't vote for her because she put Black people in jail, or whatever.
And that's what I'm gonna say. They're the first ones.
All prosecutors have put Black people in jail, and then she was putting them in jail. Probably most of them they were put in jail for a reason. Okay, so
that grew late, and that's the reason why, because they heard that she was a prosecutor.
She actually had laws out there, and she had implemented and had laws and stuff implemented to keep Black folks out of jail, to keep other people out of jail, to help people with poverty. But nobody went out to research that. They didn't go out to research. They just went on hearsay. She did this, and then it got legs, like you said, and it just ran with it. And then next thing you know, when you tell you can tell something, you can tell a sentence, you can tell the truth, you can say something, but by the time you done told it to this person, and then that person done related to that person, it's a whole different story, and it can be half true and half lie, or a total lie by the time it gets around. And then if you don't go and do any research to go find out if this is true, then this is where we end up at. But it seems like we're the only people who are always saying, I ain't gonna do, I wouldn't do that, do so and so. But those other ones are going out. Those white people ain't telling you not. Them white people ain't telling other white people not to go out and vote. Okay, because while you're not going out and vote, guess what they're doing? They're going out and voting these local elections and stuff, like that. And they're getting these laws and getting the stuff, passed for them, while your neighborhood, is not getting anything or getting very little because you're not going out there to vote and advocate for.
I wouldn't never tell anyone not to vote. I would say don't vote for the wrong person, but vote, but don't vote for the wrong person. Oh, she's putting Black men in jail. Or what about the border? What about the economy? What about inflation, job opportunities? You heard one little thing and it grew legs, and then everybody just jumped on board. Do your research, people. Do your research. Because like you said, that's what a prosecutor does. They put people in jail. But that doesn't mean that all of the people she put in jail was Black people, or that they didn't deserve to have some time. Sometimes people need to be put in jail. They need some time to sit away from society and reboot, get whatever.
And sometimes if you did something wrong, now sometimes the crime doesn't fit the time doesn't
Right.
fit the crime. It depends on what it is or whatever. But some people have been put in jail because they were child molesters. They have killed women and abused people. People have been in jail. That's what she was prosecuting, whatever. But people didn't want to go do that. They just heard that.
And let's go back to your local elections. Like you said, sometimes the time doesn't equal the crime. That's when your local elections come in, because you're voting for the judges. And some judges, even though they know, okay, yeah, you do need to pay for this because this was wrong, they will not give you like this very harsh sentence. But if you just don't go to your local elections, you're going to get all type of judges they're probably
You're going to get right-wing judges,
Right.
because they're the ones they're going out there to vote.
Right.
Okay? You didn't go out and vote for your judge or whatever.
right.
Okay, but anyway, but this is kind of what I'm talking about, like with some of these black people, this.
Go for Trump. I go for Donald Trump. I go for Trump.
Who are you voting for in 2024?
Trump too.
And why is that, ma'am?
He's the best president ever.
Has Barack Obama done anything for around here and
He
these?
never did anything since he been in office,
Yeah.
and I'm glad he out. Trump the best.
Barack Obama, I ain't got no message to say. I don't mess with Barack Obama.
Yeah.
No, I'm a Trump supporter. Trump do more for black people and care more about black people. And Barack Obama ain't black. Just to let that be known.
What about Kamala Harris?
I don't f with her either. All Trump all day.
Yeah. What's your message to Donald Trump today?
Keep going. Come get us, man. We waiting on you.
I'm a Trump supporter, man. We gonna keep this going. Trump, he a real businessman. I'm a real Republican, man. I want Trump back in office second term.
What would be your message to Barack Obama?
Oh, pump some money in here. Pump some money like Trump,
Your message to Donald Trump?
Come on, man, get us to the Super Bowl, bro. Make America great, man. That's all I can say. Make America great.
Everyone's so friendly around here.
Yeah,
Everyone's so friendly around I need chain game like this. Here we go. What? Here we go.
What's up, my
Who we
guy?
need up in there? Who we finna let drop a bag in the hood? Who we want to get the bag
Hey,
back going in the hood?
y'all know we gonna need Trump in that joint. Y'all
You
know we
ain't
gonna
gonna
need
find a
Trump
soul
in
around
that
here that ain't gonna say Trump.
Y'all got the deed what's going on, man.
Yeah, I'm taking over Benny show, man. It's Odie, man. I'm a YouTuber, man. Y'all get at me, man. But everything Trump over on this side of town. I ain't gonna lie to you. You can go everywhere. You see how dry this motherfucker is? We need Trump, boy. Whatever it's gonna do to make this flow back, man. Get it up. Let's get it going immediately, man. Benny, who you going for, Benny?
I'm going for the man with this chain, with that watch,
Who is your
with
president?
that ride.
Who is your president?
My president is making America great again, Donald
Okay,
Trump.
I'm going with Trump.
So
That is crazy.
So
The kids were just repeating what the parents were saying. Because
they were
know.
but then here's the thing: they grow up and do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mhm.
as they grow up, they do not all of them, but most of them are going to do the same thing,
Yeah.
and they're going to keep themselves in the same lot that they're in now. These are people where these are people that should be for the Democratic Party, because they're the ones who pass the legislation, laws, and stuff like that to help you. Because there's some of y'all, out there probably on welfare. There's probably some of y'all who have probably low paying jobs, stuff. Y'all need that help and stuff. You might have food stamps, what is it, WIC and SNAP, whatever all of that stuff is. Y'all might have all of that type of stuff. Okay, well, the Republicans can come in there and take that away.
Right.
Okay,
Because they don't want to give you nothing.
the elderly, when they start messing with this Social Security and lowering your benefits, and then some where they may get it where you got to even work even longer to start getting Social Security.
Mhm.
Okay, but I heard, and I don't know who actually said this, where Craig had got it from. I don't know if it's his saying or if he got it from somewhere else. But it's very telling. I've used that quote before. But it says there has always been a certain type of black person that will sell their own down the river for a bag of cornbread and molasses. Django Unchained, whatever, there's always and now with the black folks, some of it seemed like it has risen even more. You know, where it might have been 7% or something that would go over there and vote for those Republicans, or who were actual, you know, Republicans or whatever. Now it has risen to, for Trump, 20%. That's sad. You know, that's
and that's almost human nature, because people are always going to be on the come up and try to benefit themselves. So that's always going to be somewhere in the bunch, no matter what your race is, that's going to say, you know what, I'm going to do this for me because I see this as a come up. You know what I mean? And they're gonna be the sellout. You know, there's always going to be a sellout. Another thing that goes along with this too is that, and I didn't think I was going to get emotional, but as I think of this, I really get emotional. How not only was it the gender thing, not only was it the race thing, but these people have a fear of you taking away their traditional structures. Like we haven't evolved. Like seeing two men raise a child is disrupting your view of what a family should be, or two women. It's like you couldn't stand to vote for this lady because you thought she was just gonna uproot everything and send us all to hell because God forbid two men raise a child, or God forbid two women raise a child, or whatever. You're so bent on this heteronormative, society or whatever it is, that you can't even see change. Would you rather that child be with pedophiles, or a child that's with someone that's abusive, or my God, we're not the enemy. We're not animals. We're not beasts. We're loving people. You know, you have a problem with trans people. It's just, that was one thing that I was like, the race thing has been here long enough. I know y'all have a problem with that. Gender, we've seen that. You don't want women, but you think that this is gonna just change everything about how we view the American family or whatever. Who are you to say who the American family is, and how a household should be ran, and that it should be a man and a woman or whatever? That you're so in fear that no, I can't vote no woman of color because she's gonna make the gays this or that or whatever. Why are they so fearful?
Change always takes time. People, in this world we live in now with social media and everything is so fast. I want it right now. I want this, I want that stuff. People aren't, change takes time. It moves at a slow pace, but eventually it gets there if we allow it to happen. When we stun it, like we just did, change was happening. Okay. It might not have been at the pace that you want, but it's never at that pace. But eventually, we get there. Okay. But they just took us back, they just took us back a few steps, So when you look at this, these numbers have changed a little bit now because this was from the other day, right? But if there was 152,967,700 people at this time had voted, right? You take 1% of that of the black vote that and add it to the vote, the ones who already who had voted for Trump, and you add one more percent to that, that's over 1 million people. Okay, and then you take the people the blacks who didn't vote, and you add that to it. So, but even if you took 1% and added it to Kamala, that 1% and added it to Kamala's added it to her, we could have won that election. Right. Okay. Because that other, that other 15, whatever, 16, 17% or whatever that's always voting Republican, always voting against their best interests, or whatever. We really not counting them anyway, because they always do that. Okay. So, but when you take this other 1% and went out and then they just, it's like, it's like they didn't care about like you didn't care about your other relatives. Is it, you don't care about your kid's future. Right. You don't care about your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, your cousins, brothers and sisters, whoever of y'all, is it, are we so selfish, that we, it's like me, I want what you have, or whatever. Most people don't even get there.
Know who proved it to me, who proved themselves to be the most selfish to me, was the Latino people, especially the documented ones, because the reason why y'all went for Trump is because some of y'all had a problem with the immigration, but the immigration, most of that doesn't affect most of y'all because y'all are documented, y'all are legal. But what it does affect is the people that are undocumented, which could be your family members, could be your relatives, your kids, whoever, and then those that are trying to come over to have better. You don't even care about them. You're just so concerned about you and your paycheck. Well, I don't want them over here because they're gonna just take money away from me, and they're not even legal. At least I'm legal. You showed yourself to be very selfish, and this man wants to deport you, and probably whether you're documented or not.
It's weird because they think they're not going to get deported, but they think,
it's coming.
Do they not see what happened when he was in office and they had them down in them camps in Florida in gates, with gates surrounding it, sitting up there outside, and do they not see that? And they were deporting people back, and they took them kids away from their mothers and fathers and stuff. Do you Latinos not? Okay, you Cubans who think that you're white, you Latinos who think that you're white. Right. You're not white, folks. I mean, I hate to tell you, white folks are not even white. Right. Jane Elliott, I got her in here, but she'll tell you that. But if anybody who has studied history, who knows their history, who knows ancient history, anybody who reads and whatever, all people, including you white folks who think
you're white,
who think that you're pure white, whatever stuff. You racists, the ones of you who are racist, you Nazis and what are them? The Ku Klux Klan, all of you people out there, and you Latinos, you Asians, you Indians, you Arabs, all of y'all, you're not white, okay? Mm-hmm. Everybody came from a black woman. Everybody, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, every single one of us in this world is going to have some black blood in them, okay? If they run a DNA test on anybody in this whole world, everybody's going to have some drop of blood. I mean, some drop of black genes. Mm-hmm. Black. You're going to have that. Your makeup is going to have some of that in there, regardless of whether it's 2%, 3%, 15%, or more. Mm-hmm. Okay, but all of us ain't going to have some white in us. Mm-hmm. Okay, all of us ain't going to have some Indian. All of us ain't going to have some Latino. Asian. Some Hispanic. Whatever, some Indian. But everybody's going to have some black in you. So technically, everybody in the world is black. Okay, everybody is of the human race. Okay.
But you have some
technically there's no such thing. Technically, there's no such thing as black race, white race, Hispanic race, this or so and so. Everybody is of the human race, and there's ethnicities that are inside that human race. Okay, but inside of all of those ethnicities, there's some black in every single one of y'all. So, so to think that you're in a hierarchy above this person or that person or whatever because they're black, or men who think that they're better than women because they're men, or they think they're stronger and whatever. It's tearing our country apart. It's putting this divide. You don't like lesbians and gays and trans. You don't like queers. You don't like people having abortion. You don't like, they don't. Sometimes I think men don't even like women the way they act. Exactly. Especially white men.
It's their body.
Do y'all even like women? I know y'all just want them for sex. Do you just want them for sex and something to carry around on your arm? That's it. But other than that, you think they're less than you are?
That's it.
Or whatever. And then
who gives you the right to tell me what I can do with my body?
Right.
It's like, oh my God.
And for you white women who are constantly voting against your own best interest,
right?
Some of them, well, I gotta stick with my husband or whatever, even though he beats the shit out of you, he's cheating on you, he's mixed up in a whole bunch of illegal this or whatever, so y'all can live the lifestyle that you're accustomed to, or whatever, y'all still go out there. The laws that the Democrats put in for you all, that put in for y'all, that's to protect your rights. That's to protect y'all from being abused, because these men are out there abusing some of these women. That's the to help women. And then the shit that be happening to what negative stuff that be happening to white women that they be complaining about all year long, whatever. Then they go and totally vote against the help or the legislation and the laws and stuff that can help them, whatever. But white women, a lot of them are just like white men. Okay, it's like, well, yeah, we might be oppressed and we might not have the same rights and stuff as men do and stuff, like that. But we're higher than the blacks, and we don't want to be them, or whatever. Or we don't want to be the Hispanics, Latinos, or whatever. We don't want to be them. So we're going to go vote so we can still maintain what we already have. And it goes back to, it goes back to the text that I read at the beginning of this video of how this all kind of got started. How you turned the poor whites against the blacks during slavery or whatever. But white women, they know that this oppression and stuff is out here and stuff, but they're going to go vote because they don't want to. Right. They don't want to be. They don't want to be
exiled because of their white husbands or whatever. But another thing I really think is going to backfire, and I say this because, okay, so I know a lot of Latinos are Catholic, so they believe in, what is it called? The condoms and stuff like that. Can't think of the technical name of it, but birth control and all that kind of stuff. But do you not know that Latinos and Black people to me are the most fertile? And I've heard years ago that white people were fearful that Latinos were going to eventually outnumber them. So for you to stop the abortion, you really just shot yourself in the foot, because if you don't want them to have abortions, they're going to continue to have babies. And they're going to continue, and the more babies they have, they're going to outnumber you. And we might already be there, because like I said, I heard this years ago. If it's not already there, it's really close. So, and you're fearful because you think we're gonna start treating you like you treated us or whatever. That's what you're fearful of. But then you don't want them to have the abortions or the fertility treatments or whatever. To control that or whatever. But we're the most fertile people that I know of, baby. These Hispanics, baby, they have like 10 or 15 children. And Black people, we have a lot of children too. So it's like it's gonna backfire on you. It's gonna backfire.
Yeah. And then a lot of some people got fooled because they, because white people have this thing of where, when you ask them a question, like about voting or anything or something, they're never honest with you.
Right.
They're never, oh no, because they don't want to be seen like they're racist or they're discriminatory or anything and stuff like that. But in their heart, they really are.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Okay. Because like I said, there's a great deal out there that are good white people, or whatever. But those you know, but they get in front of you. Once you put that microphone in front of their face or put them in the spotlight and ask them a question and stuff, you know, like that, they just lie.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever. And then and they'll say, oh, you know, oh yeah, you know, oh Kamala, oh yeah, she's this, you know, whatever, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But when they actually get behind that voting booth, they're not going to vote that way, you know, whatever. And then and I remember I was listening to Clay Kane during the 2016 election, right? I was listening to him, and then he, you know, because his mother is white, you know, he's his father's black, his mother is white, and then during that 2016 election, when Trump was making all of those comments, you know, about women and black people, you know, they, you know, and the Republicans and them and stuff, you know, they were white Republicans, you know, and they were talking about Michelle, you know, and they were making fun of Barack, like, you know, and they were making stuff, you know, like making them out to be monkeys and
she's a man.
And she's a man. You know, they were doing all of that coded language and stuff, you know, like that. And then I remember Clay saying, you know, when Hillary was running, and then and it was Trump and Hillary in 2016. And I remember Clay saying that, you know, that. Oh no, it was during Barack Obama and then also during Hillary too. But he was saying that like they were making these comments about black folks and all this other type of stuff. And then, you know, that he thinks that Hillary would win, you know, and stuff, you know, like that. Then his mother, she was like, no, Hillary's not going to win, you know, whatever. And then he was like, well, you know, she's white. Basically, she's white, so white people will come out and vote for her or whatever. Well, because of the sexism and all this other type of stuff, and then they white people equate the Democratic Party with black people, you know, like with black people and stuff, you know, like that. She was like, no, and then she said, you know, you don't know white people like, she's white, you know, and she said, you don't know white people like I know white people.
Right.
Okay, and I thought that was, you know, that was like very. You know, I thought that was very telling. That, you know, that she told him that, you know, you don't know white people like I know white people.
Right, tell the truth.
So okay. While you go to the restroom, I'll play this. I'll play this little video here. It's about 5 minutes long, so I'll play that.
Buckle up, folks. We're in for a bumpy ride. It's late at night after Election Day, and I want to answer 6 big questions about the election. What happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? What could we have done differently? What does this mean for the future? And what do we do next? Question 1, what happened? Donald Trump is going to win the presidency. Republicans have won control of the U.S. Senate, and we don't know the outcome of the House yet. Question 2, how did it happen? The early exit polls show Trump's 3 strongest groups were white men, Hispanic men, and white women. In Georgia, it was even worse. One exit poll said that 69% of white women voted for Trump. Even after he took away their reproductive rights and was found liable for sexual assault, the majority of white women voters still chose patriarchy over their own liberation. On the other hand, Kamala Harris's 3 strongest groups were black women, black men, and Latino women. Question 3, why did it happen? This is a tricky question to answer before all the data is collected, so let me just say this. Some people are blaming inflation and the economy for Trump's success. I don't buy that because black voters are more negatively affected by inflation and the economy than white voters, and we voted overwhelmingly for Kamala Harris. In fact, I don't think it was about issues at all. If you look at policy alone, nearly all of Harris's proposals get majority support, but only half of Trump's did in the recent Washington Post survey. Missouri voters approved a measure to increase the minimum wage, which Harris supports, but still voted for Trump for president. And the majority of Florida voters cast ballots to protect abortion and legalize marijuana, even though they didn't reach the 60% threshold for a constitutional amendment. Those are Democratic positions. Let's be real. Trump doesn't represent policy, he represents cultural resentment against the changing America. Question 4, what could Harris have done differently? There's going to be a lot of debate about campaign strategy, but it's too early to draw definitive conclusions. One Republican complained that Harris should have run a more centrist campaign. I disagree. I think she bent over backwards to accommodate centrists and Republicans. On the other hand, critics on the left argue that she should have run a more progressive campaign to motivate the base. And that's complicated too, because doing so would definitely have cost Democrats the Senate in those tough red states. But the truth is, I don't know that any of that matters. Harris had little more than 100 days to introduce herself to the public and mount a presidential campaign against a powerful white man who was a former president of the United States, bankrolled by the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. In spite of those obstacles, she raised $1 billion, drew huge crowds, and generated excitement in a race that was lifeless before she entered. Trump did everything wrong in his campaign, and it didn't matter to the majority of white voters. He got indicted 4 times, got convicted of 34 felonies, lost the debate to Kamala Harris decisively according to all the polls, couldn't articulate any more than concepts of a plan for health care after 10 years of running for president, flip-flopped repeatedly on abortion, refused to answer a basic question about the minimum wage, simulated a lewd sex act on stage, refused to apologize for a speaker at his rally attacking Puerto Ricans and Latinos, joked about shooting the press, picked a running mate who called him America's Hitler, and was outed by his own former chief of staff for saying Hitler did some good things. Nothing mattered because it was never about issues. White America has been lecturing black people about crime, morality, and patriotism for years, and then they vote for a convicted criminal, sex offender, and insurrectionist to be the president. No black person or woman with Trump's track record and 2 impeachments would ever be nominated, much less elected president. That's why it's not about policy, it's about race and gender and the changing America. Donald Trump is the avatar of white supremacy, and the fact that a small but significant percentage of black and brown people were willing to excuse or embrace his racism, sexism, and xenophobia doesn't disprove that. It just reflects how some of us have assimilated into the same white supremacist beliefs. Question 5, what does this mean for the future? First, Trump will be able to appoint a new attorney general who will fire special counsel Jack Smith and dismiss the criminal charges against him. Second, with the new Republican Senate, Trump will be able to appoint several new Supreme Court justices who will be young enough to give Republicans control of the Supreme Court for the next 20 to 25 years. That means if you wanted reparations, reproductive rights, LGBTQ rights, DEI, environmental protections, or any progressive policy, that won't happen in your lifetime, no matter who succeeds Trump in office, because the courts will strike it down. Third, Trump will be able to appoint vaccine denier RFK Jr. to head up women's health and vaccines. He'll cut taxes for billionaires, which is why rich people like Musk support him anyway. And he may be able to begin his promised mass deportation of immigrants. He also promised to abolish the Department of Education, bring back stop and frisk policing, and give law enforcement immunity from prosecution. So be ready for that too. Question 6. So what do we do next? Hakeem Jeffries will now become the leader of the opposition in Congress. And there is some good news in the results. Josh Stein defeated black Nazi Mark Robinson in North Carolina. Lisa Blunt Rochester and Angela Alsobrooks won Senate seats in Delaware and Maryland. These 2 black women in the U.S. Senate will give us new soldiers in the fight. But what happens next is up to us. A lot of people are hurting right now, and many more will be hurt in the years to come if Trump implements his policies. I recommend self-care. Do what you need to take care of yourself, and remember, you are part of a broader community. We have to be there for each other in these trying times. As I said in my final video before the election, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And no matter what happens in the days to come, I am clear and certain that we are on the right side of history. Don't give up. Live to fight another day.
So, history repeating itself. This is RNC Chairman Lee Atwater, so I'm equating this to Trump. I said insert Donald Trump and the Republicans here, okay, and the Republican Party here. Admitted appealing to white resentment to civil rights and even white racism. They did so not only by criticizing federal civil rights legislation and impugning federal designation orders, but by rallying against busing, government dependency, and welfare or by espousing such seemingly race-neutral ideas as states' rights and local control as signals to preserve Jim Crow from federal intrusion. Even without making explicit racist comments, the dog whistle was clearly heard by those who were its intended recipients.
Yeah.
These strategies combined called the Southern strategy. This combined called the Southern strategy was designed to create a national Republican majority, built in part on white resentment, and that's where we are now. Okay, that's exactly where we are now. White resentment, and it's payback for us voting for Obama being in there also. You know, some of that with Kamala too is if we already, you know, white people. Some of it is we've already voted for a black man. We're not doing that again. You know, or whatever. We're not doing that again. We're not voting for a black woman, and you know, especially a black woman.
Right.
You know, and then some black men and Latino men, they're the same way too. You know, the white people have done exactly this. The Southern strategy, they just implemented it all over the United States. You know what I'm saying?
The divided states.
The divided states. They implemented it, and then some of us fell for that again. Just like we did in slavery, we would sell our own person down the river so we can live in the big house, you know, or so we didn't have to live in the field, or I'm not like that type of nigger. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, I'm a good nigger. I'm not like that type of nigger. Right. You know, whatever. You know, I'm adjacent to whiteness. You know, or whatever. And that's how some of these black, especially these black men who voted for Trump and the Republican Party, some of them are okay with selling their souls and selling the rest of us down the damn river so they can be adjacent to white people, to whiteness. And they think that by them being adjacent to whiteness, that's going to trickle down to them. It's not going to trickle down to you because they're making the laws. They have the laws and stuff out there to keep a tight grip on that so that you don't have any power, that you don't have anything, and they're going to continue to keep you down. And you just put yourself down there. Okay, you're not getting anything. No. Okay, now you're about to get stuff taken away.
Right, that is true.
So go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was gonna say exactly what you said. You know, sometimes it's like, let me sell this nigger out, you know, because so I can get some benefits or whatever, or that I can seem equal to the white people or whatever, and they're never gonna see you like that. They're never gonna do anything for you like that. No.
And here's the thing: the Republicans use scare tactics. They don't fight fair, okay? And that's the Democrats' problem is we try to play by the rules. We fight by the law. We try to use the law. We make legislation and stuff so we can have I don't even know what I'm going to say, but you know, equality and stuff like that. Republicans don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if they drag you through the mud. They don't give a shit if you lose your house. They don't give a shit if you lose your job. They don't give a shit if you on welfare or anything and stuff like that. As long as they can live into the lifestyle and maintain the power that they're accustomed to, you know. And, you know, it's just like down here in Texas. I don't know about anywhere else, but down here in Texas, every time I turn these scare tactics, you know, whatever, the wedge issues, every time I turned on the TV, there was abortion. There was trans. The trans are gonna, they're sending the trans are in your schools and in your bathrooms. They're gonna molest they're gonna molest your children. They're teaching gay queer in school or how to get a SRS operation. So Trump on the TV talking about whether they go to school and then 2-3 days later they come back and they've had a sex change. And stupid people buy into that bullshit. I mean, it's just stupid. Uneducated, stupid people buy into that type of stuff, and then they throw that religion in there with it. You know what I'm saying?
That's why they buy into it.
Oh, the abortion. God said this. God said that. And the gays. that's immoral. This is so and so, so and so. Well, you all are immoral, okay? Because you just voted for the devil that you claim to hate. You know, they always talk about they always talk about hating Satan, okay? And everything is the devil. You know, heaven and hell. You know, and God said this, and Jesus, you know, Jesus died on the cross for us, you know, so and so, so and so. You know, there some of them Christians. Some of them are the most hateful ass people. Not all of them, but some of them are just the most hateful ass people. You know, and they go vote and they talk about Satan and bringing people to Jesus Christ and taking them away from Satan. They just, you know, for those, if you believe in a heaven and a hell, you know, or heaven and earth and angels and God and the devil and all this other type, for y'all who believe in that, and that's Christianity and some other religions, you know, for y'all who believe in that, okay, you just voted for you just voted for Satan.
Right.
Okay, that's a Satan incarnate right there. I guess he's back at the damn tree, tempted Eve with the apple, or however y'all believe in that crap. You know,
and the reason why they believe that way is because, you know, like I said, because of the Bible. But let me tell you this is that they believe that America was founded on Christian values. Okay, well, let's go back, because like you said, they voted for him. Let's go all the way back. Let's go back to where you guys didn't want to be under the queen. You wanted your own freedom, so you came over here, but then you took land from other people. That's not Christian. That's not godly. But what they'll say is, but look in the Bible when the Israelites took the land from these people and these people. That was their story. That's not even Christian-like. That's not a Christ-like. What kind of God do you want? A kind of God that takes land from people just because they don't agree with what you have said is what should be followed? That's not godly. And because they interpret the Bible that way, they become that way, and everything they want in life has to be that way. So they're okay with, I discovered America. You didn't discover something that was already founded.
And black people was over here before they even came over here. So they don't even realize that black people had already been over here trading and stuff with the Indians and doing all that type of stuff.
So from the beginning, y'all have been the devil, and so y'all are going to continue to be that way and vote somebody that believes that way because that's all they see. So they're just continuing it.
It's like and this younger generation, and then some of the older, you know, some of these middle-aged and stuff like that, it's like they don't remember their history. You know, some of them don't remember, like Trump, he wants to be a dictator. He wants to be like Hitler. Okay. He was reading Hitler's, you know, they even showed it was on his nightstand. So this, and he even said, this is what I read this. It was, you know, the book on Hitler, right? And people don't realize how that all don't remember how all of that came into being.
Right.
Okay. And how it started off just like how we're headed now, you know, where people, there's for you people out there who did not vote at all, and y'all sat there in silence and didn't go vote, okay, and for you ones who did go vote for the ones of you who did go vote for Hitler, because that's what he it's a possibility he can turn this country into that, okay, and then Niemöller, he was the one who wrote the saying, you know, like how he sat in silence when they came for all these different groups, when they came for the Jews, they came for the black, they came for this and so and so, and I said nothing, you know, and then I said, you know, and they came for them, then they came for them, and then they came for them, and I sat there and I said nothing, right? And then when they done put all these people in concentration camps and done killed this, and then and war was out, and then people were, you know, dying and stuff, and people were hiding, you know, whatever. Okay, and then, you know, then they came for him. Okay, that's the same shit that's happening now, you know, now. Okay, we're turning a blind eye. We're turning a blind eye to all that who Trump is, just like they did with Hitler. They turned a blind eye to Hitler. Okay, and then as he slowly, because he did this over years, but as he slowly started oppressing them and taking away their liberty, you know, having with the government and stuff getting on his side, taking away their liberties and doing all this stuff. He slowly oppressed them and suppressed them. Okay, to the point where they end up accepting it, and then it turned into the Holocaust. Okay, but this lady here wrote this, you know, and I found this on another site. But she wrote this. Might have been a he shit, but I think it's a she. But she wrote this in response to you know, what's happening in the world today and how we could end up
going back.
You know, reliving the past against, you know, or whatever. We could go back to that. And then she wrote it in her own words, but she took it from, you know, Niemöller, you know, the minister Niemöller. She took it from his quote, you know, what he wrote in his books. And it says, the price of silence. First they came for the immigrants, and I did not speak up because I was not an immigrant. Then they came for the teenage mothers, and I did not speak up because I was not one of them. Then they came for the gays and lesbians, and I did not speak up because I was not lesbian or gay. Then they came for the people of color, but as they left me alone, I did not speak up. Then they came for the Jews, the elderly, the radicals, the farmers, the disabled, the trade unionists, the poor, the artists. But I believe they were doing it for me, and I did not speak up. Then they came for me, and by then there was no one left to speak up.
Right.
Okay.
That's exactly what we're
America. You know, we're repeating history, and that's how, you know, nations can fall. You know, because of our greed, never mind.
And I mean, and he already has, like, the Supreme Court is set up. Like the Supreme Court, I mean, it's set up for this.
Yeah, they're not going to. They're his Supreme Court,
right? They're his Supreme Court.
Whatever we pull up, there, people, you know, black people.
Yeah.
You think if something happens, and then you think the Supreme Court is going to take the case, they'll throw that case out because the liberal justice that we have on there, that's not enough for them to overrule what the other justices say. So be prepared.
Be prepared to lose your. I mean, like the abortion rights, pretty much are gone. You know, women rights, LGBT. I mean, that Supreme Court, it's already set up for us to get nothing but doom. Right. I mean, LGBTQ, like you said, they're coming. Transgender, they're coming for us. They're coming. Latinos, they're coming for you. They're black, like I said before, when that George Floyd thing, Trump he minimized that whole Black Lives Matter movement. Like, he was so again, he called us thugs and hoodlums or whatever. But then when they riot because of guns and all that kind of stuff, oh, they're the heroes and they're standing up for the amendment and the Constitution and all this kind of stuff. But you're not caught, and they're burning streets down and shooting people, walking the streets with rifles and stuff, but they're not called hoodlums and gangsters and thugs or whatever. But we are. They are coming for every group. And eventually, like you say, like that thing said, there will be no one left to stand for nobody.
And then, so here, the limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. Is a quote by Frederick Douglass that means the endurance of those oppressed by tyrants sets the limits of those tyrants. Douglass said this in an 1853 letter to an abolitionist associate. The quote continues: "Power concedes nothing without demand. It never did, and it never will. Find out just what people will submit to, and you have found the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue until they are resisted with either words or blows or with both. A tyrant is a ruler who has absolute power and uses it oppressively or brutally. In the Greco-Roman world, tyranny was a form of autocratic rule where one person, oh, my ticker's in the way. Where one person, I hate when I do that. Okay, where one person had power without legal restraint, and that's what we're into now.
Yeah,
because Trump has already said that. He already says that, and the Republicans then were working on it. But this right here. Find out just what people will submit to, and you have found the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them.
That's so true.
Okay?
That is true.
We just turned our country over to a dictator, to a tyrant.
They can only go as far as you allow them. And once you allow them, they're going to do it.
And so here it is. They have the House. They have the Senate. They have the presidency. They have the Supreme Court. Okay. We just allowed them. We just gave them, okay,
permission.
Right. Find out just what people will submit to. We just submitted to that. Okay. And you have found the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. Be prepared, folks, okay, because it's coming. Okay?
And Christians should get it, because that's a scripture that we quote all the time, because I'm from the church. It says we perish for a lack of knowledge, and they depend on that. And like I said, when you find a way to get over on people, take that advantage, take that chance. And that's exactly what they did. And the only reason why they got the advantage over us is because we have the lack of knowledge. And that goes back to what we were saying. We don't do our research. We don't read. We just depend on social media, which could be biased or whatever at times, or, have their own agenda. So when you have a lack of knowledge, people are going to use that. You have certain rights that, you could be on a job and be just suffering, but because you didn't take the time out to read that handbook that they gave you that first day, or you don't go visit HR and find out, hey, my department is doing this to me. Is that okay? We just happen to have a job. Sometimes we just happen to have a 9 to 5. Hey, I got my job. I'm getting my check or whatever, and that's it. When you can have so much more. Like they say, people go on cruises and not knowing that when they pay for the cruise, not only do you get the cruise itself, but you get the nightclub, you get the casinos that are in there, you get all the food, all the drinks, and for the most part, it's paid for. So there are people that get on these cruises, and this is just an example of how we think sometimes. People get on these cruises and they think, I'm just here for the boat, and so they're in their room just whatever, while they could be enjoying all these other, amenities that their ticket paid for. And that's how some of us do. We just buy the ticket on the cruise and we just sail and go with whatever they want us to do. We just sail on down, and we could be benefiting from all these other things. So, yeah. But like you said, the dictators, I have some of the dictators was Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Kim Jong-un, North Korea, or whatever. Then the guy from Libya or whatever, he wants to be just like them. He wants to have power through force, manipulate you, disregard everything about the democracy. Putin is, that's another one. Yeah.
So the MAGA party, if people think that if they don't want to take Project 2025 seriously, whatever. Right after Trump won, they're out. Now they're all out there saying, these are the Republican legislators, the policemen, the judges, the Republican judges, government, and the people who voted for him, whatever, and these pundits that are on TV and stuff, they They came out and said, MAGA says Project 2025 is the agenda. Okay, now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, actually Project 2025 is the agenda.
Because they're trying to distance themselves from it first.
But first, but that's what they always do. Yeah. Just like we talked about the Southern strategy and with Lee Atwater or back into slavery and stuff.
Right.
They're going to distance themselves a little bit from it or whatever, but in the background, they're still working. We're going to put out these little talking points or whatever and stuff, like that. But then actually, this is what we're doing in the background.
Right.
And they already have this all, all there. And then, so just listen to this right here. It's just so much, it is just so, it's so much. This is one of the persons that Trump says that he may pick for his AG, and this is the one in his other term, that was in their short time, that was in there a short term before he got booted, before Trump got booted out. This is that last one that he picked, and he's thinking about putting him in as the Attorney General.
Mike, I've never called for lava to rain down from the heavens. But maybe upon Washington, D.C., would you be that sweet red hot lava for us?
I've never been called sweet, and you call me Sweet Ginger. So I think I meant then. During my 3-week reign of terror as Trump acting Attorney General, before I get chased out of town with my Trump pardon, I will rain hell on Washington, D.C. We've talked about this, Ben. I have 5 lists ready to go, and they're growing. List number 1. We're going to fire. We're going to fire a lot of people in the executive branch and the deep state. Number 2, we're going to indict. We're going to indict Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and James Biden and every other scumball, sleazeball Biden, except for the 5-year-old granddaughter who they refused to acknowledge for 5 years until the political pressure got to Joe Biden. Number 3, we're going to deport. We're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. We're going to detain a lot of people in the D.C. Gulag and Gitmo. And list number 5, I'm going to recommend a lot of pardons. Every January 6th defendant is going to get a pardon, especially my hero, Hornman. He is definitely at the top of the pardon list.
You're evil.
So, yeah. So listen to how he talked. Okay? He's supposed to be... above all of that, right? The AG is not supposed to be talking about calling people scumbags,
right?
Putting border anchor babies. People did not pay attention. Okay, they're telling you what they're going to do. When people show yourself, Donald Trump and the Republic, they showed us who we are. Thankfully, most of us Black folks believed it. Okay, but for those of you who didn't believe it, okay, this is what's going to happen to y'all. Okay, and more. Okay, but you didn't believe it, so be prepared.
Right.
And then this is what he said about this is what he said about Letitia James.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison. For conspiracy against rights, and I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
Just evil.
So yeah, it's very evil. So here's the thing with that. She came on and did a press conference the other day, saying that that they're going to still abide by the law. They're still going, whatever. Letitia, you're not going to be able to do shit. Okay? Y'all can come on TV and say that type of stuff, like is to try to make us more secure. You're not going to be able to do anything, okay? Because she just circled back around and then went and had congratulated him for winning the race. He wouldn't have did that to you,
right?
Okay, he's, Trump and the rest of them, they're demeaning you. They're calling you names. You don't have to go out there to try to be the bigger person,
right?
And kiss their ass and stuff, and on national TV, or whatever. That's our problem. That's our issue too. They abuse us, and then we turn around and then, I'm sorry for what I did, whatever, can you abuse me again? You don't have to kiss their ass. He's not kissing yours,
right?
And then,
but they conditioned us to be that way too. They conditioned us to be, let them have the upper say and let them have, whatever. And so we feel sorry, whatever. And then who's to say that we're just not, we're not built like that? What if we are just built like, we are built to be caring for others? And it's just something that we have to physically be like, you know what?
We're gonna have to
did us
stop
wrong.
You're gonna have to stop it, because if not, we're gonna be we are going to be in concentration camps.
Right.
Okay. If not, we are going to be sitting around here begging for food.
We have to draw a line.
We can keep doing that if we want to our detriment. Okay.
Right.
We can keep doing that to our detriment. Okay. This man just came out and said what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then we're still sitting back here talking about, well, what we did wrong in the election. What can we do to fix it? How are we going to get them back on our side and stuff, like that? You're going to have to play dirty the same way they play dirty. They don't care whether they play dirty, okay? Yeah. But here's the thing. They know us. They know that the Democrats are going to play by the rules. Right. That's why they keep continually taking advantage of us. That's why we are in a relationship and they're cheating on us, okay? We're in a dysfunctional relationship with them and they're cheating on us, and they're going to keep cheating on us because we stay and we allow it. Okay. But he's telling you exactly what they're going to do. And does that sound like a Christian? Okay. For the religious folks out there, right. Does that sound like a Christian?
That's evil.
Okay. So, and then this I like, because some of the world leaders, once Trump won, they don't even like Trump. Okay? Right. They're not, and then they started calling him because they're in fear of what he's going to do to them, or whatever. So they're calling in, and people are saying, well, that's what the leaders are supposed to do. They're so and so. No, we don't have to do that. Because they're not doing it to us. I mean, he's not doing it to y'all. He's calling your names and he's talking about attacking y'all and then what wars he's going to start and all this other type of stuff. So but I really like this because their leader called up Trump and then their parliament ended up getting mad at him.
Really?
They're I guess they have a parliament over there in Europe, but I think it's Scottish. I think they still have a parliament too. I know Britain, but I'm not sure about Scottish. But
I have to admit, I find it disturbing that some people are describing this as democracy in action, or even suggesting that we shouldn't express a view on someone as profoundly dangerous, corrupt, dishonest, and violent as Donald Trump. Returning to the White House. This is not a Democrat. This is not someone who, I don't mean in party political terms, this is someone who sought to overturn illegally a democratic election simply because he lost. This is someone who has not only threatened but has incited his own supporters to use violence in his cause. And this is someone whose return to the White House will be celebrated by some of the most violent occupier regimes, including those who've occupied Ukraine and Palestine.
So even they know, and they in another whole country, and they can see through the smoke and mirrors,
and some of them are in fear of what Trump's going to do because they know he's unstable. Yeah. They know he's not a leader. They know he don't even know how to lead.
Right.
He didn't know how to lead when he was president. Okay, he had the Republicans down there, doing his bidding and stuff for him, and that's what they're going to do now. The Republicans know he's stupid.
He didn't even know how to lead his companies. They all went bankrupt. You know, it's like
yeah, his casinos and everything. But then people fell for that. They were like, oh, he's a businessman. No, he's a bankrupter.
Right.
Okay, because he had 6 or 7 businesses that went under. Okay. So,
because if he was a good businessman, they would still be here. Look how long Walmart, and then somebody even put out a post about all the companies that supported him, and Walmart was one of them.
Oh well, yeah, but you know, the Walmarts are the Waltons. They're Republican, except for one brother.
But Target,
all of the no, Target's not.
So
all of the Walmarts are, you know, Walmarts and Sam's Clubs. Those are all owned by the Waltons.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and then only one brother who's not a Republican, and he's against all of that type of stuff. But no, the Waltons, yeah, they're out. How do you think everybody's going to Walmart buying all the, you know, whatever, thinking they're getting cheap this and cheap that and stuff, you know, like that? No, the Waltons got rich off of you poor blacks. I mean, not everybody ain't poor, but you know, the blacks and the blacks and the whites and everybody else go in there. But it's a lot of people who are lower income, you know, to lower middle income or whatever that shops at Walmart and stuff, you know.
Because if I can get it less, you know, you're gonna come there. They're just using you.
And some of that shit ain't even quality.
Right.
You know, so you end up throwing away your money anyway because it tears, breaks, or doesn't perform properly, you know, or whatever. So,
making you fat. That's probably why I got these bad shopping at Walmart.
And then here's the other one from
First Minister offered congratulations to the convicted felon Donald Trump on his re-election. Writing officially on behalf of the Scottish Government, he wrote that he is sure Scotland's cultural and social ties with the US will flourish during the presidency of a misogynist, a climate denier, a fraudster, a conspiracy monger, a racist, a far-right politician who tried to overturn an election result both covertly and by inciting violence. Words fail me. What social and cultural ties does the First Minister really think will benefit from a relationship with such a man?
I have a duty as First Minister of Scotland to engage with other governments and to represent the people of Scotland in that process. And as part of that duty, I wrote the letter in question that Mr Harvey cites. I think there are.
He chastised. He in there chastised me.
Because of it.
And you know, our legislators, they're going to get out there. You know, they'll get out there eventually. You know, I mean, I'm gonna have to get back out there and protest. I thought I was kind of over with protesting and doing all that type of stuff, but it seems like I'm gonna be back out there again. You know, because this is what they want. You know, they actually want us to not get out there and protest against them. They don't, you know, they want us to not protest against the legislation that they're going to be pushing through. They want us to you know, because if they do that, then it's going to be easier for them to take over the country. And with us, we have to still get out there and fight, you know, whatever. Because if we don't, and we're going to be complacent, you know, whatever, then they are. Then we are going to be an oppressed nation, you know, whatever. I don't know what's going to happen in the midterms. I don't know if we can, you know, if we'll be able to even pull the House or Senate or something back to try to fight some of this, you know, or whatever. But we still got to try. Because if we give up, then they won, and then they are going to oppress us, and it's going to be bad. You know, they are going to be able to take away our rights and stuff, and then we're going to be just like little farmers sitting out in the field, putting down rice paddies and shit down, you know, whatever. You know, as back as like slaves again, you know, and then and the poor whites, if you think they're not going to do that to you, they'll get you too, okay? So, you know, and then you Latinos who think, you know, up with Trump and blah 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 blah, okay? Well, they're coming for you. He already said it. He's coming for you.
They're gonna deport y'all, and that's why they're gonna use the whites, because we done deported the Latinos, and we don't have enough blacks. So come on, you poor whites, we need you in the fields too. So yeah.
So I'm gonna play Jane Elliott here. You know, I've been listening to her for years and years and years, especially when I first heard her did the brown eye, blue eye experiment with the kids at school. You know, and a lot of white people, you know, they don't like her because tell
she said the truth. Right.
They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to confront their own racism,
right.
sexism, homophobia, you know, whatever. Black folks, black folks can be the same way. They don't want to confront their own racism, their own internalized, you know, their own homophobia. They don't want, or their own internalized racism and stuff, because they want to be adjacent to white people. You know?
If you watch our present so-called president, he spends most of his time either in his child or his parent ego state. He never gets into his adult ego state unless he's reading off the teleprompter. And he is such a poor reader that oftentimes he makes mistakes, and then he is instantly in his child ego state right in front of your very eyes. It's absolutely fascinating to watch it happen.
Speaking of our president, a lot of people say that racism has risen under him.
Anybody who doesn't say that hasn't been paying attention. It absolutely has. The kinds of things that are being said in this country today are things that he has said for the last 2 years. He has said them publicly, and he got elected because he said them publicly. We have a group of people in the United States of America who were in response to 8 years of a black man in the White House and the possibility that they might have from 4 to 8 years of a woman in the White House, will elect anything that walks and can chew gum at the same time. Last election, as far as I'm concerned, was a direct response to having a black man in the White House for 8 years. And it's time to change the White House to the President's house. This is ridiculous. To call the place where the President of the United States lives the White House, it sends the wrong message. I remember when Richard Nixon said to a group of reporters, "I'm trying to save the White House for you white people." That says it all. And at that moment I thought, well, wait a minute. Now this is something that has to be changed, and it has to be changed. Nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. It's time to change the name of the White House to the President's house, or the President's residence, which has a nice ring to it, don't you think?
Let's just say that President Trump is trying to bring the country together like he said he would do. Wait a second. He's trying to bring the country together. How would he go about doing that?
Resign. If he really wants to bring the country together, all he has to do is resign and take his, what do you call him, with him, the second in command, the vice president. That would bring the country together. But right now, the only way he can bring the country together is put somebody else in the president's office. He does not know how to be a president. He does not know what legislation is about. He does not know how to do this job. He didn't intend to get this job. And had it not been for the Electoral College, he wouldn't have this job. Mrs. Clinton won the popular vote. The only reason we have this person as the President of the United States right now is because the members of the Electoral College didn't do what that Electoral College was designed to do. Thomas Jefferson designed that to make sure that no one who was unfit for that office would ever be elected President of the United States. The Electoral College last year absolutely defeated that.
You criticized President Trump.
Did I?
One thing that a lot of people have criticized former President Obama on was not speaking out on race enough. Do you think he failed in that?
What if he had spoken out enough on race? Imagine what would have happened to him. The man is still alive. Do you remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Do you remember Malcolm X? Do you remember all those people have been killed not because of the color of their skin, but because of the fear of white people that someone who isn't white is going to look better, sound better, act better, do better than they do? Mr. Obama was the president of all of us. He wasn't just the president of black people. He was the president of all of us. The man who's there now is and claims to be the president of the people who look like him. When he says, "Make America great again," what he's really saying is, "Make America hate again." And until people in this country and people in this world get it into their heads that the first modern human beings that evolved on this earth were black women, they evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 280,000 years ago, and every human being on the face of the earth today has the memory of those black women's genetic structure in their genes. Now, we don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is. As people moved farther and farther from the equator, their bodies produced less and less melanin, so their hair, their skin, and their eyes got lighter. As they moved into the east, they ate a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables, so their skin took on a different tone. You don't really want to get me started on this because
I do want to get you started.
I'm really angry about how we are miseducating the American mind.
Yeah, I'm surprised she ain't got death threats.
Oh, she has been.
I'm right, because I can see where they don't want this information out.
No, anybody who talks against the Republican Party gets death threats. Anybody, you know, hell, we might even get some. I mean, we've already had some hateful comments already come in, you know, or whatever. So not today, but you know, when I posted our topic of what we was going to talk about, when I put the thumbnail up and did the thing, you know, and then I put, you know, whatever, then we've already got some. A lot of them got blocked, you know, because YouTube blocked some of them, you know,
their hateful language,
you know, whatever. But if you look out there already, you know, just like this possible AG is out there with stuff he's saying about Letitia James and all, you know, just the stuff that they're saying. If you listen to some of these white people out here, these Nazi sympathizers and these those whatever the, you know, the ones out there with them Trump stuff or whatever, listen to the stuff that they're saying about, you know, people. Read those comments. They're very hateful in the comments. Sometimes what they're not saying out in public, they're actually getting in these comments and saying that type of stuff, that what's really going on in their mind. You know, and stuff, you know.
I see it every day on Facebook, friends that put up stuff. Because everybody's not, you know, I'm friends with a lot of different type of people. So everybody's not like me. And I see it and I'm like, this hate, I'm gonna unfriend you, or, you know, whatever. But I mean, like, how can you think this way? So yeah, I see it. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we, you know, so with this Project 2025, we'll run through some of these potential things that, you know, that the Republicans and Donald Trump ain't worried about Project 25. It's the Republicans, people. You know, Donald Trump ain't even going to probably follow their agenda because he has his own dictatorship agenda that he wants to follow. You know, his extreme power, his narcissism is gonna, his narcissism comes out, and and so he's gonna be controlling and all of that type of stuff. He ain't worried about Project 2025. It's the Republicans who have been working on this, who are going to put this legislation through. Yeah. They just need Trump
to be the dummy
as their puppet.
Right.
They needed the dummy, right? They needed the dummy. They needed to get him back in there so that they can manipulate him. Mm-hmm. He thinks he's manipulating them, but they're actually manipulating him so they can get this law. So they're the ones who are really going to be oppressing us, but he's just going to use his authoritative power,
to get it done.
He'll sign. He's going to sign it, all this stuff, like that. And so, but he's going to be out there, just exerting, so he can make himself look good because it's all about him. And, and his braggadocious ways, and stuff, like that. He's just acting out on his narcissism.
Right.
Okay. But some of this, some of the things, potential rollback of protections seeks to reverse existing protections for LGBTQ individuals, which could result in increased discrimination in areas such as employment, housing, and public accommodations. He's already said that. He already said that, I'm getting ready to take away you trans ain't going into the bathrooms. What did you say earlier about the Olympics?
The Olympics, right. He doesn't want them there.
And then and trans in school. He'd already done it, equated the trans, and then talking about military, rolling back, no gays in the military and stuff. So if he'll have the Republicans in their support, even if it went to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court they don't have enough to overrule that.
What gets me, let me see, another way this is going to backfire. What gets me is that some black women got on board with, Trump, just because of the, just whatever he was standing for or whatever. But do they not know that he's going to take away some of the health care, right? Like, especially for LGBT, like we may not be able to get PrEP and shit like that no more, right? Okay. So let's see how it's going to backfire. You guys got DL men over there.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did.
So if they can't get PrEP, they're going to bring all kind of shit to you. So y'all going to be full of diseases because these men don't want to be honest with who they are, but they sleeping with us.
Yeah, but I know you're not saying that we don't have diseases.
Yeah,
we ain't all, everybody, and we're not all passing diseases.
We don't,
and stuff, like that. For the ones who have HIV and stuff, or any, other type of stuff, whatever they, people are taking care of themselves, and then they're surviving, and it's not always just the DL men, because straight men take shit home to their women, just like straight women can take stuff home to their men.
Right.
If they're out there cheating and sleeping with a bunch, cheating and sleeping with people, just like straight men. If they're sleeping and cheating with people, but that DL thing is in there too, because if they are, because here's the thing, a lot of DL men is not going to go to the clinic anyway to get any PrEP, because they don't want anybody to know that they're fucking around with guys and stuff. So that's why a lot of them don't go to, and then they end up taking stuff. It might not be HIV, but it could be a host of other things because they're out there sleeping with people and everything and whatever. But straight people, they're out there messing around and they take stuff home to their wives, or their wives take stuff home to their husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends too, even without HIV meds and stuff, like that. Most people who are most of the ones who are on HIV are taking their medications properly, and the ones who ain't are out there trying to get PrEP and stuff like that. But there's still those out there, like you say, who could be on the DL and they can bring something home to you.
And what I'm saying is the ones that are taking it, once they stop it, once they say you can't have it no more, then y'all don't really feel the effects of what could have, prevented, because they were getting it. Now they can't because you voted him in. He's taking the health care away. So now you get what you get. So whether he's straight, gay, whatever, they're bringing something home now, because now the drugs that prevented it from coming to you before are not even there for you no more. So okay, your bedroom gonna be burning. And your pussy.
Slick says it's sad because it's so horrible that people have a hard time believing it's as bad as it will try to, that it will be, and that is so true, that people, man, that is so true, Slick. That is so true. They don't think that they don't. Well, here's the thing. We don't know our history. That's what it is. We don't know our history. We don't even want to go back and know our history anymore. We're repeating history because we didn't learn our lessons and stuff from history. And then people in their mind, it's just like she said, oh, it ain't going to be that bad. Oh, he's not going to be able to do that. Or he's not going to. What they're not taking into consideration is, the Democrats have always been there to stop the Republicans from taking extreme power. Okay. But we just gave them extreme power. We don't have any houses. We don't have anything. Okay. And we don't even have enough of a majority to overrule or veto anything. Okay. So, they're going to have to believe it. Okay.
And what I would say to this is the reason why people have a hard time believing it goes back to what you say. We play fair. They don't. And so that's why people have a hard time believing it. And like you say, it could be because they don't, read their history as well. But I think a lot of people think that both sides play fair. And so that's why I can't see us going back. I'm sure there was provisions made to where we can't lose our right to vote. I'm sure there was provisions made to where this won't happen. I'm sure there was something in the law that says you can't do this again. And we believe that everybody's playing fair. But like you said, Republicans never play fair. And we just go with it. We're always gonna stick to our morals and our principles and our values, and we're not gonna go dirty and underhanded, but they will each and every time.
It's there's different stuff written into the Constitution, but if you have extreme power, you can rewrite the Constitution. You can put amendments in you can put amendments in the Constitution to take away.
People don't know that.
To take away those rights and stuff, like that. When you have extreme power, okay, then first you're gonna put the fear in everybody, right? And then they're gonna be scared of you, and they're not gonna challenge you. They're just gonna become complacent, and they're gonna let it happen. They're gonna take away more and more of our rights and stuff. Yeah, the Constitution is there. When has the Republicans and when has the majority of white people ever followed the Constitution?
Right.
The Constitution has suppressed us blacks before and other people who they call minorities. We're really not minorities, okay? Right. Because black people, and other ethnicities and stuff in the, you know, there's more of us in the world than white people. Okay,
Right.
white people are actually the minority in the world. Okay, in the United States and maybe parts of Europe. Okay,
Right.
but in the world, white people are the minority, not blacks, not other not other ethnicities or anything and stuff, you know, like that. So on that, but if you go in there and you have extreme power, you can go in there and you can change the Constitution. And then if you have the Supreme Court, okay, when it's challenged in the courts, okay, well, they can overrule that and vote against it. And they can vote for the legislation that the Republicans put in. We don't have anything, you know. Now we may be able to, if we can, once the shit starts happening and it gets bad, and if enough people get out there and protest and don't put up with this with that shit, we may be able to do something. But it looks very dark. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to do much of anything except protest, you know, and fight against it or whatever. But we already got some of these blacks and Latinos and stuff out there who voted for Trump, who you know, who like what he's going to do, you know, or think they like what he's going to do, and they're not going to be out there voting. But just like, you know, just like black women who came out, black women always come out in droves, you know, and fight for rights for everybody and stuff, you know, like that. You know, gays come out and, you know, the queers come out and they'll fight for everybody's rights and stuff, you know, like that too. When we get out there, okay, and we're fighting for these rights, you know, for everybody's rights and stuff too, black women, you know, and black men, you know, whatever, get out there and vote for our rights too. Vote for, you know, vote for trans rights, vote for the queers' rights and stuff out there and stuff, because we're human and we are afforded the same, we should be afforded the same liberties that the Constitution affords everybody. Not the Bible, okay, because we're a country that's separated by, you know, religion and state, church and state, okay? So, but according to the Constitution, all people are created equal, okay? And they say it in the eyes of God. So, you know, but people go out there and take away our rights and liberties in the eyes of what they say God is. But when we get out there and fight, you know, and putting our lives on the line and being beaten and stuff by these corrupt police and judges and stuff, and we're out there fighting for these laws and rights so we can get this shit back or whatever. When we're out there fighting for, and if it's lesbian, trans, queer, whatever falls under that umbrella, y'all have to come out and fight for us too, and not just for when black people are being oppressed, you know, whatever. It's we need to fight for everybody.
And truth be told, y'all don't want the America to be run by the Bible, because we'll all be doomed. I mean, you know, if you take it literally. So yeah, we need to stick with the Constitution and make sure that you know gives us all the rights, everybody, that we deserve and that we are allotted for. So yeah.
So we got policies promoted under Project 2025 could limit access to healthcare services for LGBTQ individuals, particularly regarding mental health support and gender affirming care. That's what they don't want. You know, they're going to take that away because the gender affirming care, you know, they may have let a little bit of it stay in there for LGBT rights, you know, the right to visit your spouse in the hospital or to visit, you know, whoever you're with or whatever, because we didn't always have that right. Where that, you know, if, you know, we went into the hospital and that was our boyfriend, you know, or whatever, and then they would, you know, it didn't matter, you know, they'll let the husband and wife in or the boyfriend and girlfriend in, but then they would, you know, they wouldn't let us stay or couldn't make any decisions or do anything or not, you know, they took our rights away with that. They don't, we finally have those rights, but the Republicans want to roll back those rights, you know, because they don't think that gay people, queer people should have the same rights as them, you know, as heterosexual people.
You're sinful.
So, and then We got civil rights and liberties, you know, policies that back protections related to civil rights affecting marginalized communities and potentially increasing social inequity. Okay, well, you know, there's people who just voted against that. They voted against their own civil liberties. They want the police to come in, beat the shit out of them, take away their rights, kill them, and put them in the hospital, badly abused. You know, putting your hands around their neck. I can't breathe. Right. You know, and stuff. You know, like that. Well, you're not gonna be able to do shit, okay? Because Trump has already talked about immunity to the police officers. For one thing, he's gonna let all the ones out of jail that stormed the Capitol on the January the 6th. They're gonna get immunity, okay? And then anytime the police beat the shit out of our black kids or out of our black asses, you know, or whatever, or kill us or whatever, you know, people forgot about Trayvon Martin, okay? Right. Even though the police didn't do that, that was George Zimmerman, but you know, the police were on his side, right? Okay, the judges and them were on his side, okay. And then other, you know, George Floyd, you know, and the women that have been beaten and killed, going into their house and, you know, their apartments and stuff and shooting them and all this type of stuff. When that shit happens, okay, then your protesting ain't gonna do shit. It's not gonna do anything because he's already said, what'd you say again? He's already going to give the police immunity, right? You know, and if you try to fire, they're going to kick you right out, right? Right. And he's giving them immunity over the military state and everything. You know, he's replacing government employees with who he wants in there that's loyal to him and to do his bidding and stuff and the Republicans' bidding. So we don't want to hear about civil liberties and they're taking away my civil liberties, or they're abusing me or doing anything for those of you who went and voted for Trump. You know? And we saw some of you in the video I showed earlier, you know, you ignorant, you know, and I hate to say that, but you know, those are ignorant people, probably uneducated, you know, or whatever, because they say that's the majority of the ones who voted for Trump. Because the ones who were, you know, the ones who had some college education, you know, or the ones who had some college education and a higher college education, they didn't vote for Trump. Right, they know better. You know, except for white women and white men. But as far as for, you know, black, you know, but here's the thing: even the ones with a higher education of the white folks, they didn't vote for Trump. You know, they did not vote for Trump. Trump got lower. He got the low, those low. You know, he got those white people, the middle class, you know, the lower middle class at a certain age bracket, you know, because some of those older ones still voted for him. Oh yeah, you know, those old white people, they still voted for him. But as far as the educated people, he didn't get the majority of that vote. They know, you know, he didn't actually get the majority of the young vote either. But he did get he got a higher than he had before, you know, or whatever. But he mostly got the white vote, you know. But he did of the blacks and the Latinos and the blacks and the Latinos and the Asians and Arabs and stuff that voted for him and stuff. Most of them were in that category of you know, like where they either didn't graduate from high school or didn't have a high school, you know, or just they only graduated from high school, which is nothing wrong with that. But you still don't have to be ignorant and act like a lowlife and then go out there and vote for him and then brag about it and then put the other black people down. And I heard the Jews, y'all gonna get what y'all gonna deserve, you black, you know, like you black people telling us we're gonna get what we deserve for not voting for Trump. No, y'all getting what y'all deserve right now, and you're gonna see. And I heard even the Jews were divided, like the Orthodox Jews, they were for Trump, but the other, you know, just the Jews that evolved and whatever, they were for Kamala or whatever. You know, some of those Orthodox Jews, they're strict on whatever. Yeah, there was quite a few Jews that voted for Trump. Yeah, there was quite a few. Yeah. But the ones who voted, but mostly Jews voted for Kamala, just like you said. Jews voted. It was only that small version of those Orthodox because they're strict with it, and they didn't want to. And then the Asians,
they were pretty much for her, but
They didn't go for it.
they changed their mind because they were saying like in the beginning, they were giving the stories and whatever, and but at the end they changed their minds and
A lot of them didn't even come out and vote, but they did. A lot of them didn't come out and vote, but the ones that did, the majority of them did not vote for Kamala.
I think they're white.
But the ones who voted for the Democratic Party, it was about 32, somewhere around 32 to 35% of white people that always do. Okay, black women, the black women. I think the black women were somewhere like about 89%. Black men are somewhere about 90%. The black men somewhere about 90%. And the Jewish people. We are the ones who voted for democracy.
Yeah.
The rest of them voted against democracy. Okay. The rest of them voted for the devil.
Right.
They know. Okay.
Right.
Because birds of a feather flock together. Yeah. So they voted for the devil they claim to hate in the Bible. Okay.
But they're that same devil that they hate. Because the only reason, voting, if you just want to just break it all down, you're going to vote to the person that best benefits you or match you. So if you voted for Trump, then that says a lot about you. You're already in line with him because you're just like that. You want to hide it and you don't want us to see it. Like I was watching CNN and they said, oh, we have Republican voters here, but none of them want to be reported. None of them want to go on camera. And they was like, why? Oh, because my friends at work think I'm going to vote for Kamala, but I'm really not. I don't want them to see, or some people in my family think that I'm going to vote Democratic, but I don't want them to see or whatever. So, you like you said, you cheese and kiki with us, in our face or whatever. But then when it's time to make your decision and make your vote count, you go against us because you never was with us. You match the person that you voted for. So
it says healthcare access. There is apprehension that the project might lead to reduced healthcare access and affordability, particularly for lower income individuals and families. There's already enough low income families out there who don't even get healthcare because they can't afford it, or whatever. And for those who can afford it, they still don't want to pay for it or whatever. But they're talking about taking away Obamacare. Okay. People, and here's the thing: the Republicans complained about Obamacare. They tried to gut it, all those years ago and stuff like that. But a lot of them are on it,
Okay, we need it.
What do you think? What do you think? Damn Congress! What do you think? The senators, the president, the House of Representatives. They're all on government. They all get their health care free.
Yeah, they're government.
They're all on the government thing or whatever, but they don't want us to have it. But they want it. Okay? So you see how hypocritical it is. We pay our taxes and stuff into all of this type of stuff, and we're giving y'all up there getting health care and stuff like that. But then the Republicans are trying to take it away from people but they get theirs for damn free. And
I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but I think I probably knew it, but then I kind of forgot. But what's her name? Jasmine Crockett, she was in an interview and she just said it plainly. She said, we don't get paid a lot. She said, if I would have went, because she went to school to be a prosecutor, just like if she was a prosecutor, she could be making like 6 figures or whatever. She said, I took this job because I believe in the people. I believe in somebody representing. I know there needs to be change. I take a big pay cut. She said, I can barely afford the house that I have in Dallas, because she's in Dallas. But when you're she's a representative, right? She has to have a house, and she has to have a house here because you have to have a house in the district that you represent. But you also have to have a house in Washington as well because you spend a lot of time in there. She says she can barely she can do good here. She can barely afford the house in DC or whatever, because the expenses are so high. Y'all that are here, y'all can afford it because they give you, I guess, like this cost of living or whatever. But I have to pay for this and this with the same money. I don't have an increase or whatever. So they're on government, so they have to have that government assistance or whatever because they're not getting paid a lot. And so the very thing that they trying to fight against, you're on it. Like you say, they're on it.
Right. And then it's exactly what you say, because people out here making these minimum wage, the Democrats are the ones who keeps fighting to raise the minimum wage, people.
Right.
The Republicans are the ones who don't want you to have minimum wage. They want to keep you oppressed and suppressed in the wages that you have, because that's more money for in their coffers, in their pocket.
Right.
And that way they can also control you by keeping you with those low minimum wages or whatever. But it's the Democrats who wanted to increase the minimum wage to $15 to $20. It's the Republicans who keep shooting that down. They don't let it get passed in the House to get to the Senate. And if it gets to the Senate, then it's the Republican senators who vote against it. You people need to research and actually go out there and see who is actually for you and who is against you. Okay. Then we got
what? So, but some of them, the reason why a lot of them have a problem with Democrats too is because they hear that Democrats are the ones that started the KKK, and so they don't
know their history. Okay, the Democrats and the Republicans back then were different. The Republicans back in that day, they're the Democratic Party of today.
Right.
The Democratic Party, the Democratic Party
of today
is the Democrats back in the slavery time, all of that stuff, like that. They were Republicans,
right?
Okay, that's why Lee Atwater, whatever. The video that I showed earlier of him, the picture and stuff I showed earlier of him, and what we were talking about, the pre-Civil War, okay, that's exactly why they did that, whatever, to get the white people onto their side. They were Democrats back then. They were Dixiecrats, back in the 60s, early 50s, 60s, or whatever. They were like Dixiecrats and stuff, like that too. Those were the Republicans of today. Okay, the Democrats of the day were the Republicans. Okay, and the Republicans of the day were the Democrats back then, and they were the oppressor. Now, the Democrats weren't that better because they were slave owners and they were. They wanted their slaves and stuff too, even though there's some of them, the abolitionists and stuff, helped to get slavery abolished, along with the Civil War and the blacks and stuff fighting. But they were just as racist. The Democrats back, the Republicans back in that day too, they were still just as racist,
right?
Whatever. But there was a divide between the North and the South, and so how the South viewed slaves was differently than the way the North viewed slave was differently than how the South.
So the North freedom,
because before
the South did
not without the blacks and the British help.
You're right.
But up north though the Republicans, which were the Democrats of today, the Republicans, they still treated us horribly, not as horrible as they did down in the South, because we weren't slaves up north, or whatever. But they still had some of us as indentured servants. New Jersey was still having slaves and stuff over there. You know what I'm saying? But we, they still, not all of them. You know what I'm saying? But there was still still most of them still treated us beneath them.
Right.
Just like sometimes they still treat us like that now.
Right.
Even up north and stuff, like that. But they needed the slaves and the indentured servants in the South, because that's how they made their money, by the slave trade,
right?
And working them, working the fields and doing, and that's how the South made their money.
Yeah.
That's not how the North made their money, or whatever stuff, like that. But we did work for them, and they may have paid us, but they didn't pay us what they would pay the white folks, whatever. And they still treated us beneath them, or whatever. As times have changed, the Democratic Party has become the party of the people, not the Republicans.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But back in the South, back in the slavery time, they were basically almost the same.
Right.
One was just a little bit better than the other,
Yeah.
and that's the argument that some people make now. Like, well, I'm not voting because they're both, they're both the same. They're both evil. Both parties. Both parties are this, both
good and bad.
but they all do. But one party is
for everybody.
One party is actually here going to help you, even with whatever's going on with them, whatever their greed and stuff, like that too. But one party, is for the people.
Right.
The other part, one party gives, gives and tries to give to you.
Right.
The other party is, I'm taking away from you. I'm not giving you anything. I'm taking away from you.
Right.
And what I'm taking away from you, I'm taking to give to myself to help me and those above me.
Right.
And therefore the upper middle class and the wealthy, and the filthy rich. That's what the Republican Party is for. And any of y'all who don't believe that, you're a damn fool.
Right.
Okay. And then it says educational reform, changes to the education system, undermine public education and prioritize private interests over public good. So they really want to get rid of public schools and put everything into private schools,
they can say whatever.
And the other, what's the other schools? The
military?
No, the private schools and the the schools where they have private and have public.
Not boarding school.
No, I can't even. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on that one. But that's what they want to do and give vouchers and stuff. But everybody's not going to be able to get a voucher. And then that voucher, even when you give a voucher, it's only going to go so far. It's not going to pay for all of your education.
Right.
And then how are we going to pay for giving out all these vouchers to everybody? The government still has to run. If you gave out vouchers to everybody, and then they start picking these schools. Well, what's going to happen is when you start giving out the vouchers to these Black and Latino kids and stuff, like that, then they go over there to the white school. What do you think is going to happen? Then the white school, they're going to leave those, okay, and then they're going to go start something else, and then we're going to, and then our schools are going to still be underfunded,
right?
Because they do underfund Black schools, Black and Hispanic schools and stuff like that, where the white neighborhoods and stuff, they're fully funded and they have all the stuff. Our buildings are running down.
You do get computers, stuff. They refurbish and
and stuff, like that. But yeah, it'll be the same way like white people do when we move into their neighborhoods. When too many Blacks start moving into white people's neighborhoods, they move out. Okay, and then they can run to the suburbs, and then once we start going there, then they're going to run back to the city, and that's the way it is.
I'll go further out to the country.
And then when we go out there, then they're going to run down to the city, because now you see it. These downtowns are being populated with all these apartment high rises and stuff. And who are in them? And who's living down there? Mainly white folks and stuff, like that. And they'll do the same thing. When we start going to their schools in too many numbers, what happens? Okay, then they leave those schools. They go start other ones somewhere else.
Like charter schools.
Charter school is what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, charter school was the other one. They want to do charter schools and give people vouchers to go to the to have private, to whatever, to go where they want. That's not really what they want.
Right.
That's just what the Republicans are saying. They don't really want us in their schools.
Right.
They don't want to give us vouchers to choose the school that we of our choice.
Right.
That's just another smoke and mirror, for them to try to hide their racism. Right. Or whatever. Because they're not going to give everybody vouchers. Because if we did start going to their school, with a voucher, then they're going to leave those schools, We will outshine them. We will outshine them, first of all. Because we're the best. We're the best in everything. Well, here's the thing. You know, we have schools and stuff now, though, and some of them can be good teachers, but we're still falling behind in our education, bumped up against white people. Okay, so yeah, we might have the brains, we might have this and so and so, but the way they oppress us with the funding and stuff too. Yeah. But the other thing is, our kids get into these schools sometimes too, and they're acting up. You know, even though the white kids act up and stuff too, but their parents are able to get them out of shit. You know, pay for it. You know, do this or do whatever and stuff. You know, like that's that. With us, you know, with us, they're doing us with the, you know,
we're fighting.
To suspension,
yeah,
you know, suspension,
expelled,
school, you know, school to the prison pipeline, you know, and we're buying into that stuff, and we're getting in school and we're acting up, cussing out the teachers, and they do the same thing stuff too.
And sometimes our parents aren't getting involved. Like
and the parents, that's the thing, our parents aren't involved enough, you know, and sometimes because they're so busy or whatever and stuff too. But you know, the kids, some of our kids. It's showing with how these guys, these black people went out there and voted for Trump. It shows a lack of education, a lack of people who don't want to read. And that's not the majority of us, but it's enough of us out there where we end up with this type of result in the election from those type of people who don't have enough education, you know, or don't use their education or knowledge of what they know
to pick up a book,
to go and research or read or something, you know, like that. And then they don't want to. Some of them just want to hang out in the street or the clubs and drinking and doing drugs, you know, hanging out, you know, staying in the lot that they're in, you know, whatever, resigned to this, that, or other, thinking in their mind, well, you know, Trump is gonna make me adjacent to whiteness, and then I'm going to get all of this. You're not going to get anything.
And so
you want to be still where you are.
And because of that, that's why a lot of people that know what's right, because I really believe everyone knows what's right, but they choose not to do right. Like, you know, in your heart, some of this stuff is, you know, some of this stuff is not right for you. I mean, just because you don't believe in a certain way, you don't treat a trans person like this. You know that's not right. That's not love. That's not Christ. That's not Christian or whatever, like you say you want to be or whatever. It's not right. And so a lot of them, you know, like I said, they hide behind that, but it's just your bias. It's your bias. It's your hate, your racism, your sexism, all of that. Homophobia, it's all of that. So yeah, it's crazy.
And so concentration of power, Project 2025 could lead to an increased concentration of power within the executive branch, potentially undermining checks and balances essential to democratic government. Okay, they have complete power. Okay, there's no checks or balance. Okay, because if the Democrats do not have enough veto power, you know, or to overrule whatever these Republicans are putting in. There's no check. How are we going to check? We're going to go out and protest, but how the hell are we going to be able to check them if they have absolute power of the whole government? Right. And we don't have enough to even, you know, I mean, if it was say it was 50-50 or 49-50, and then, you know, we had an independent or something, you know, or whatever. We don't have enough of that now. They gained our seats.
Yeah, they have the run of the house.
So yeah, there is no checks and balances, you know, unless some miracle happens or something, you know, like that, where we can gain some control or something, you know, like that. But other than that, there's no checks or balances.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. So because Democrats think about everybody and they always want to, you know, make sure everyone it's surviving and thriving in America. You know, that you can have the same rights as somebody else. You want to own a home, you should own a home. You want to do this, you want to do this. You want to go to school. They make sure about, you know, that happens. So those people that are benefiting from that choose not to vote, you're making them feel like, see, this is why we're against that, because because you're just benefiting from the program, but you're being stagnant. You're not moving. You're not growing. And so, I mean, you're benefiting from a system that you're not actually putting in, because you're going and you're voting against yourself. You know, and that makes them feel like, see, that's why we need to cut that out, because they're just sitting on the system. They're getting rich off the system. They're getting rich off of that. But you got family members that's getting rich off it too, or whatever. But at least this party, which I hope that y'all see, this party will allow those provisions, whether you're using a system or not. At least they're there, because you never know. One day you may need it. You know, you never know. You could get, anything could happen to where you're not able to provide for yourself like you are right now. You could get in an accident. I mean, anything could happen to where you need those provisions that the Democrats have made sure that all people get. And these people that you're getting your vote to, they want that taken away. So if you do fall into that, that demographics or whatever, you have nothing, and you have nobody to blame but yourself, because that's what you voted for.
Yeah. So educational policies, implementation of policies that restrict discussions around LGBT issues in schools, marginalizing LGBT youth and denying them representation and support. Yeah, that's like
Okay, it's lit 100%.
That's right,
100%.
So and I'm gonna play this little. I'm gonna do this here with
we just a 4-hour show now, but this is an important thing though.
So this is not Jasmine, but this is what's going around now. This race, where where people are talking about, well, people aren't doing, and I know this ain't all white people and stuff, but we get this shit all the time. Black folks are listening, getting these type of things all the time. When Trump lost, okay, it was the threats, the violence, and all this other type of stuff, okay, sending out their hateful emails and texts and stuff, threatening people, okay. When we won, I mean, we lost the election, and now it's a total different story. Now the election is fair, okay. But when Trump lost, then we rigged it, we stole the election, and the all of this type of stuff, right? But now they're not questioning whether it was fair or not, or whatever. We don't know whether it was fair. I mean, to me, I think it was fair, but I don't know for sure, because I don't know what they've been doing, little stuff. You know what I'm saying?
No, because they didn't start out fair. Remember, I was telling you about the burnt mail-in votes. Someone burnt that.
But they do that every election. Every election, they destroy the ballot boxes. The Republicans do. They destroy the ballot boxes. They do stuff to keep people from voting. They send people to the wrong polling thing, or they tell them they don't have the right ID and stuff. They burn. They burn stuff.
Remember that happened too.
Or they put powder and stuff in things, whatever, to scare people off, like, or they'll set off a bomb, like a little smoke bomb somewhere to scare people so that they don't go in there. They do this shit all the time.
Oh, they'll send COVID. So you can't vote, you know what I mean?
And Trump fucked up COVID.
And I bet another disease is gonna come. Watch it.
And people think that he did something. He didn't do anything.
He let it in.
He's out there telling people to drink bleach and stuff, like that, and telling people not to get vaccinated. All that,
it goes with what you were saying. Remember you said in the beginning that it was like you with your ex, and you let your ex do whatever. You let them beat on you and let whatever. Well, we let our ex. He gave us a disease. He gave us an STD. And we still gonna be with him because he let COVID in here, and I guarantee you there's gonna be another one that he probably gonna let. I wonder how he's gonna handle it.
Well, he didn't let it in here. He just didn't know what to do. He was incompetent. He
To me, that's like you letting it in because you could have,
Well, it got in here once it got anywhere, it started spreading.
But then
like that. He didn't. No, he didn't.
Oh,
No, he didn't know ahead of time because he's stupid. Okay, but
I thought they tried to tell him.
no, he. But once it got here, he's incompetent. He's not a political leader who knows how to lead or what to do in the event of a crisis or a medical crisis or anything and stuff like that. He's out there telling people don't even wear masks and stuff, and then his ass turned around and caught COVID. And the next thing you know, he's running around trying to put on a mask.
Right.
You know, whatever. People, over 1 million and some people died, I think, in the United States. But I think it's almost probably close to 1 million or more that have died from COVID because of his incompetence. Okay. A lot of this stuff that could have stopped, you know, it could, if we had competent leadership, okay, we would not, that wouldn't have gotten that far. We wouldn't have to shut down the country, you know, or do any of that type of stuff because Obama had shit in place, you know, to handle that type of stuff.
Right.
When the Republicans got in there, they gutted it. Okay. They did away with it and stuff. And that's how we ended up in that situation. And Trump didn't know what to do except to stand up there and get on TV every day. Ooh, Americans, blah, 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 blah. Okay. He didn't do anything. Just like it was the Democrats who had to come to the rescue of the economy with the stimulus checks and stuff. And it's just like always, the Republicans, when they get in office, they fuck up the economy. Okay. They, excuse my language tonight, everybody, you know, but they fuck up the economy. And then it's the Democrats who has to come back in and clean it up. And then as we're cleaning it up, the Republicans do not give us credit for it. And the people that go out there and vote for the Republican stuff, they don't give us the credit for us, you know, of us coming out there to fix the mess that the Republicans in. Because I'm not for sure how many it is, but I think it might be only 2 economies that the Republicans have ever ran where it was a successful economy. All the other ones have been under Democrats. And it's always been under the Democrats who had to bring the economy back from the brink of collapse and extinction.
Because you always inherit and that's what a lot of people don't understand. You always inherit the economy of the last
president. Right. And that's why you need 2 terms, you know, because that's how you fix stuff. You know, you're pushing stuff through in the first term and stuff, and then your second term, you know, that stuff is coming to fruition and implementing and stuff, you know.
So if you did come behind someone that had an 8-term presidency, you're benefiting from the economy that they created. Who did that? That was Obama. Was in there 8 years. So his first 4 years, he had to correct it. That last 4, he got it together. So Trump, when he got in, you just inherit the economy that I make successful.
But Trump's economy wasn't that great. Okay?
Right, because he messed it up.
But people think it was.
He messed it up because their
messaging is better than ours.
Right.
You know, their messaging is better than ours. You know, and he's going to get out there and lie and say, I did this. You know, he gutted a whole bunch of stuff. They took shit away from the farmers, the coal miners, all that type of, you know, manufacturing, all that stuff fell. Everything that they say that they love and want for the country and stuff, you know, the Republicans did away with their stuff.
And the reason why it always fails is because they only want to put stuff that benefits the rich and wealthy, you know. And so the economy does not exist or run just on the rich and wealthy. If that was the case, y'all would have never had the stimulus checks. Nobody was buying anything. Y'all needed to jumpstart the economy by sending us stimulus checks because y'all rich. Y'all don't want to spend. Y'all want to keep it to yourselves anyway. You know, and just play the. And this is one reason why a lot of people think Trump was the answer, because I guess when he did the day of or whatever, the stock market went up and this went up and we saw the greatest numbers over here. And see, how can y'all say he was not the right president? Everything is going well. People are in shock. I mean, you know, I'm like,
when he was in office, my stocks, they rose and fell just like when he was in office, just like they do. They go up and down. Like You know, whatever. Yeah, when he won, when he won, yeah, my stuff shot through the roof or whatever.
Right.
But it's going to fall back down again because that's how the stock they go.
That's
You know, you gain, you lose, you gain, you lose and stuff. And hopefully in the end, when you get ready to need it, then you have gained enough where it's there.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But that's a false,
That's
you know, that he
right.
was so great for the economy and
Right.
stuff, you know, like that too.
That's just
But
the
you know,
narrative.
but then so like here's some stuff I was talking about, like with these white supremacists and stuff out here, you know, with this crap, you know, people, colleges, teenagers, and I mean colleges and people, black people are getting these texts and stuff. You have been selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation starting 11/7/2024. Please be ready at 8 a.m. sharp with your belongings. Our executive slave catchers pick you up in a brown van. Be prepared to be searched once you enter plantation. You are in plantation group 7. What kind of person puts that out? Now, these are those same people who say that they, you know, they're Christians.
Right.
You know, these are those things. And
this is nasty.
And not all white people,
right.
But it's a larger majority of white people who, you know, think that they're thinking by electing Trump, this, you know, they can, you know, they'll be able to contain us and control us and they can stay in power and stuff, you know, like that. And basically they're saying, you know, we want to send your ass back to slavery.
And they did this last time when he was in office. They started saying stuff that we had never. I mean, they got emboldened just to do whatever. I mean, I wasn't scared, but I could feel like the environment at work was different because there were people that were boldly, you know, say, "Hey, I'm a Trump supporter," and I mean that's fine or whatever. But you're not about to treat me no different. Because no, we're not about to have that. It won't gonna be no disrespect in here. But you would see their friends online being very disrespectful, like the Karens, and you know, just all that mess that they were doing, and just talking to people certain ways, and you know, what you doing in my neighborhood? I live. My dad is a doctor. My mom's a lawyer. We live in this neighborhood. You know, but they have never seen you, so now they want to put you on camera. What you in this neighborhood and trying to fight you and beat you, and you live right there, or maybe you're just jogging or whatever. Who says I can't jog in here? Is this? I mean, it's not a gated community, you know. So he sparks all this hate and this vitriol towards different races other than his or whatever, and they just think they can say whatever they want to say. But
yeah, the Republican Party and the white Republicans that vote for them, okay, they're not the party of yesteryear. You know, they ain't never been, you know, when they were the Democrats and the Dixiecrats and all that type of stuff, they were just as evil, you know, and stuff, you know, like that. But somewhere towards, you know, like the 70s and 80s and stuff, they were a little wacko, you know. I mean, you know, you had your Nixons and you know, Reagan, you know, George Bush, you know, all of them with their pretense, you know, compassionate conservatism, you know, all that bullshit, you know, or whatever, trickle down economics and stuff. Ain't shit trickle down to y'all when the Republicans. That's another thing. When the Republicans are in, they come up with these gimmicks and shit that people fall into and believe. Ain't shit ever trickled down to you. You still in the same lot that you were, or barely just a little bit above it, or maybe be way below that. You know, ain't nothing ever trickled down to you from the Republicans and stuff, you know, like that. You know, or compassionate conservatism and stuff. Well, that was a little better than what we have now, because now we got a dictator,
right?
You know, and
full of hate,
and he's out there grinning and smiling and telling, "Oh, I love you," and all this other type of stuff. He really don't, okay? But once he's in office, the dictatorship, his dictatorship is going to come out, and the Republicans are going to assist him, and you know, and they'll kiss up to him and make him think that they like him and love him and stuff. But no, they just need to get their agendas and stuff passed, you know, so they can suppress all the rest of us except for a certain class of whites.
Right.
Okay.
And I tell you that Vance is worse because Trump may have all these ideas and all this kind of stuff he wants to do, but he doesn't know how to execute him. execute them. Like the lady said, he's not a he doesn't know anything about legislature and all that kind of stuff. But that Vance, he does. So he's even more dangerous because he has the same thoughts and he knows how to get them, So, I mean, my thing is, they're both bad, but just think if something were to happen to Trump and Vance.
Well, something's going to happen to him. He's 100 years old.
Right. And the Simpsons have said, the Simpsons are always right.
Feeble.
The Simpsons are always right. They have predicted he's going to die. But yeah.
Well, of course he's going to die. Everybody's going to die. I don't know if he'll die in office, but
that's what they were alluding to.
But most likely he would probably die in office because the way they have control of everything, he ain't gonna ever have to leave. Right. He's gonna be sitting up there like Putin and Kim Jong Un and June and Yale and John and Poo, whatever their names are.
So sad. They'll be all like, won't y'all just gonna die?
That's the way those dictators are. Yeah. They die in office, and then their kids, their relative or another whatever takes over after them. So yeah, he'll probably, because if he doesn't get voted out and they change the Constitution or put amendments into the Constitution or do anything, or they can't, or the Democrats can't veto or anything and stuff like that, he can keep his ass in the office until if he makes it to 85 or 90, or whatever and stuff.
Who's his firstborn? Because I'm the firstborn kid.
I don't know. But and he might overshirt Vance, because he might die in office, but they might have something in place where Vance can't even become the president. It might be one of his daughter or his son. His daughter might be the first woman president.
Right.
Or something.
And they'll be okay with that.
Because we know it ain't gonna be vampirus Melania,
Baby.
So yeah. Yeah, he might not ever get out of office. He might die in office.
But that's Project 2025.
But that's his plan. And that's how dictators. That's how they are. Look at Putin up there.
Yeah.
All the criminal, he kills people. All of that, KGB and all that criminal stuff that he do or whatever. They can't get him out of office, even though he loses the elections, but they're rigged and they're fixed so that he wins the election. Yeah. And then he goes and kills people or have them killed and poisoned, the opposition and stuff that goes up against him.
Wow.
So
he ain't to be played with.
Well, Trump ain't going to be played with either.
Exactly.
The only thing is he's going to be senile because he's already feeble. He's already got some dementia or something going on. You can tell, whatever. The presidency is a rough thing to be, right?
Right. It's very rough for anybody.
Even though he already looks 100 and orange,
right,
with that 20-inch comb over that he has, trying to maintain that, cover up that bald spot, trying to maintain like he got hair,
right,
or whatever. He's already crazy, narcissistic, and that gets even worse as he gets older. That narcissistic shit comes out of it,
and all the stress of his job.
He's gonna put that on. He's gonna rape us with that shit, or whatever.
Because remember when Obama came, his son was black. Then we left. They all
with gray hair or no hair.
It's stressful
because they leave with that wrinkles and everything.
It's a lot.
Because but yeah, he'll get in there. But the Republicans are going to be the one doing all the work and shit for him. So it doesn't matter when he's sitting up there feeble with dementia. They'll let him get out there and make a fool of himself on camera, with the teleprompter that he can barely read,
whatever, like Biden was.
Because they're the ones who are actually pushing through the legislation to put it into law to oppress and suppress us. Okay, that's them. It's not him. He just wants to be seen.
Right.
He wants to be
he's an entertainer.
He wants to. He wants to be. In public, this is way. I bet. Now, when he ain't in public,
does he?
He's a malignant narcissist. So in public, he probably beating the shit out of Melania or oppressing her. He probably just yelling and screaming and raging all through that damn house.
Does he have a star on the Walk of Fame for apprentice or whatever?
I think somebody did some shit like that.
That because to me, that's what he is, like entertainer. He needs to be apprentice. That he wants to be in the spotlight. He is an entertainer, and when every time he gets on that TV, he tries to entertain y'all. He's a jackass, and he gets up there and he entertains y'all. Says the most cruelest stuff. Says the most off the wall stuff. Now, if a comedian said this stuff, that will be canceled. You know, but this president, supposed to be the leader of the free world or whatever, he gets up here and says this vile stuff, and y'all are okay with it. He just wants to be famous. He probably wants his head on that. What's that mountain where they have those people? He wants his head on that mountain with the rest of those presidents or whatever them things are.
And then so Slick, spreading facts shouldn't be partisan. It shouldn't be partisan. No. But the Republicans don't care. That's where the issue comes in is the Republicans don't care what they do to maintain power. They don't care if it makes them look bad. They don't care if they're harming anybody, whatever. It's all about maintaining power and hierarchy. Okay. And that's all they care about. They don't care if they mess up the they don't care if they go in there and they're going to spend, they're going to spend so much money because every time they get in, they overspend what the Democrats, they get in there and then they blow the economy. Okay. And that's what's going to happen again, but they don't care. But when the Democrats are in, then it's bad. And we're doing something bad. We're overspending. The budget. We can't go do this with the budget and stuff. But when they're in there, they blow the budget right to hell. And then with the tech stuff and everything, stuff like that, they did not care.
And the reason why they don't care is because they feel like they're at a point.
And we don't challenge them enough.
They feel like they're at a point. They're at a status. They're at a we're the rich and wealthy that we can survive without y'all. We don't need y'all. So I don't care what y'all get or not because actually we don't even want y'all here. We just want the rich and the wealthy in America. We don't have to deal with y'all. We don't have to, we don't even have to put up with all this stuff we have to put up with y'all. Everything can just be how we want it. So no, they don't care. They only care about themselves because they can do this without y'all. They do not need y'all here. The sooner they can get rid of you, the better.
And I got this question here. I said, do white men dislike women? What about white women? Because it seems like some white women don't even like women. They seem to have internalized. They seem to be misogynists themselves. Some of it, because they voted against their own interests or stuff that can help protect them. But white men, they seem like they don't really, the way they treat them, and they don't have any faith in them being could be a leader, and they want to keep them down. They want to keep white women, and maybe white women like being at home and just sitting in the house raising the kids, I guess, and cooking and cleaning. They complain about it, whatever. But but maybe they have the lifestyle that they're giving them or whatever, where they but white men seem like they don't like women.
Yeah, and I'm thinking. So for me, I'm kind of just going off the fly because that's a good question. I'm thinking, how like as Black people in our households, we deal with certain things, maybe like maybe your dad was not a good dad. He wasn't a good communicator or whatever. And so he kind of passes that on along to you later that, where you're not a good communicator or whatever. They don't consider you to be a good dad. Or it could be like, okay, dad was not there. And so then you have children, you're not there or whatever. Just certain things get passed on, right? And they could be good or bad. I just know that for being in a Black family, knowing other Black families. So I'm not white and I don't have a lot of white friends or whatever, so I don't know what goes on. But to me, it seems like just like we have things that may, get passed down, I think that line of thinking gets passed down with them. And that's why they're like that. Daddy told me that I'm supposed to be the man of the house and I control mama. I saw daddy beat mama. I saw mama try to stand up to daddy and daddy hit her and told her, no, all I need you to do is cook, clean, and have my babies, you know. So, and then even women, or, you know, I think white women may have been, you know, I think that may be passed. I don't know if we have white women out there and white men. Maybe you can, you know, help me with this, educate. Like, is this something that is told to you guys, and this is why you keep it going to where you feel like a woman will never be equal to you, white, black, whatever. She's never going to be equal to you or whatever. You're never going to see that for her or whatever. And that you women feel like, well, yeah, that man is, you know, the head of the family. He's always going to be that way. Like, is that passed down? And somebody that's passed down on the black side too or whatever. So that's the only thing I can think of why that cycle continues. Like, is it just something that gets passed down, you know, and you're thinking and whatever?
Yeah. And you know, and I can apply that to some black men too. I don't think black men hate women. You know, sometimes black women think that, you know, that black men hate them or whatever. Sometimes because some of the stuff that black men be doing and saying, but then sometimes black women act the same way, do and say some of the same shit, you know, and do the same stuff. But I don't believe that black men, and just by our vote, you know, the majority of black women and black men showed up and showed out, you know, whatever. Just by our vote, it tells you that we wouldn't have a problem electing a black woman, a black person. You know what I'm saying?
Even when Hillary was
right, we same thing. But you remember when in one of our other lives? Remember I was telling you when we was doing our live? Remember I was telling you? You know, even though these black people were out here saying this, I'm not voting, I'm not going to vote for no, you know how they were saying, I don't like either one, you know, doing all that stuff. Remember I told you, they're eventually going to come back around and show up because they do this every election. Black people do that shit every election. Yeah. You know, they'll say, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes down to it, we show up. We when it comes down to it, we know, okay, there's always those outliers, just like with these ones who went and voted for Trump, these blacks and Latinos and stuff, you know, like that. But for the most part, you know, we might talk and run our mouth and stuff, you know, like that, but we're actually going to show up for a person that we know is qualified to be in office, you know, and it's for our own, what's for everybody and for what's the better interest of America, you know, or whatever. And black women always show up and show out for these elections and stuff, you know, like that. They always show up and show out when these black men are being killed or for oppressive laws and stuff, you know, like that against black people. Now they don't always do it for gay people and trans, but you know, they do show up for when we don't get the black people need them for that type of stuff, you know, or whatever. But
that's crazy because the women show up, but you won't put her in office.
Right.
My thing is, if she shows up just, you know, on this level, how much more is she gonna show up on that level?
Well, we need to get rid, you know, that damn, it ain't gonna happen. But that damn electoral college does us in a lot of times too, because a lot of times we can get the popular vote, you know, or whatever. Now this time it's because these blacks and Latinos went out and voted for Trump, which gave him the popular vote. Because if that 1% of blacks hadn't gone out and did that, you know, he wouldn't be getting the popular vote, and he probably wouldn't even won the presidency. You know, so it wasn't us black, it was not us black folks that gave him the presidency, but it was some of us.
Some of us,
You know, it was some of us that gave him the presidency. And be careful of what you asked for, because now you're probably going to get it. You know, you're probably going to get it, and it's going to be painful.
Right. Very.
So we're about done here, but you, whatever you got.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much through, but I mean, I've been experiencing, you know, the same things we all have been experiencing, and how it was, you know, it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I support. You know, I mean, I like progress. I don't want to go back. You know, he kept saying, you know, we're gonna, you know, we don't want to go back. I don't want to. Whenever America was great, show it. Show me. Show me where it was great, because wherever you trying to take it, it wasn't great for me and my people or whatever. So no, I don't want to go back. So I'm feeling all of that. We've been feeling that since that Tuesday night, because I think when I left here, I couldn't turn the TV off, and I text you. I said, yeah, you was sleep. Okay, I said, oh my God, he's at 266 or something like that, because he was up there, and I was like, oh my God. And so I knew.
I knew when we went. I knew when we shut it off. Even before, remember about an hour before, I was like, "This is not looking good. This is not looking good." Yeah. I knew when I went to bed. I knew that he had won, because we repeated history, and it followed the same Hillary trend. Yeah. You know, we got all excited about Kamala being. We got all excited about Hillary. And her being the first woman president, and then with Kamala being the first woman black president. But they were qualified. Yeah. Okay. They were qualified. Because if they weren't qualified, we wouldn't have been voting for them or whatever. But we got our hopes up. We got excited. But it was the same. It followed the same pattern of how Trump won last time. With these Republicans and stuff. It was, once I saw that he was picking up them states, and then I was seeing where he was picking up more black votes and stuff, like that. In my heart, in my mind, I was like, this is over. And that's why I said, you know what? This, we just shut it down. Yeah. Just shut it down. Yeah. Go to bed or whatever, because I knew, I said, hopefully there might be a chance we can pull it out, but I don't think we're going to get this, and I just went to bed kind of broken hearted. But I'm a fight.
I didn't see him get the 270. I just know that when the last I saw was 266, and I went to bed. I think when I woke up, then that's when I knew he actually got it or whatever. So I'm feeling all that. And so what I thought that I would leave my last final statements is like, what can we do now? And you've mentioned a lot of it, and we've mentioned it throughout the show. What can we do now? Of course, support each other, stay informed, continue to educate yourself about what's going on, the policies and all that. Don't just look to one news source, especially not Fox. And they can ban if they want to.
And you don't even have to watch news sources.
Right.
Go pull up the actual literature.
Right. Exactly.
Research the actual stuff that's out there. Pundits get out there and just like we're on here talking and giving our opinions and stuff, like that. Everybody has their opinions of this, that, and the other, and their take on it and stuff. The pundits and commentary out there on these new outlets, they have their stuff or whatever. That's what they're paid and stuff to do.
They're biased.
But the internet, outdoors, internets,
Beyonce's
internet. It's a wealth of actual factual information. Yes. I know Americans like to live in falsities. They don't want the truth. They like to live, like to live, in their whatever.
And that's what travels faster too.
Right. With this information, whatever. But the truth really is out there.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, have a variety of news sources, have a variety of, like you say, go and do the research or whatever. Find the actual, what the people actually said. You don't have to take it from a reporter's mouth or whatever, because they're going to be biased, and some news stations are. But like I said, be mindful of the misinformation, but stay focused on trusted sources. Like I said, advocate. Get into groups that will support what you believe in, like social justice, equality, human rights. That's how we got our rights. That's how they did the grassroots when they first started all this. Those grassroots movements. We wouldn't even have the rights we have today if people didn't stand up, if they didn't sit on buses, if they didn't, they weren't afraid to go and spend a night in jail. I'm not going to work today, or what? I am those two little girls. I am going up to that school, even though, you know, they bombed it or whatever. You three girls, you know, even though they bombed, and I hate that. But, you know, sometimes, you know, it may not always look good, but we have to stay. Like, it doesn't look good now. You know, hopefully it doesn't come to bombing and shooting. And, you know, we see the videos where they had the water hoses on people or whatever, and they're just trying to, you know, protest and get their right, human rights or whatever. We have to get out there and, you know, and fight. And like you say, not only the things that pertain to you, fight for the LGBT, fight for the women, fight for the black men, fight for the, I don't know about you Latinos, but I have, you know, I'm gonna be walking in love.
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna get out there and fight, but I think there's something there's some shit I'm just not gonna protest over now.
Because they know better.
Because
they know better.
You know, these Latinos who think they are and I've been listening to them, and they do say that they think that they're not black. You know, we're not them. They don't want to, you know, we're not black, you know, or whatever. And they say that they're white Cubans. A lot of these light skinned Latinos, Hispanics, and all of them. You know, there are those who did come out and vote, you know, for their better interests and stuff, you know, like that. But to have 58% or something of Latinos, or so whatever that number was, voting for Trump, voting against somebody who's going to deport you, who has demeaned you, the damn Puerto Ricans, you know, where you know, just called you garbage, had them out there, comedians them on stage making fun of you, calling you garbage and stuff, you know, and you blacks who went out there and voted for him, you know, and he done demeaned us and called us all type of things. Over the years, he had just said all type of stuff.
Talking about we eating watermelon and something like that.
You know, and because he went to Chick-fil-A to hand out whatever. Bullshit, people. Okay, but you Latinos, you know, the ones, you know, when he starts deporting you, I would have been out there on the front lines, you know. But I've been out there. I'm talking about picking it like it's a job, but protesting, you know, writing to Congress, you know, voicing my opinion and stuff, you know, like that. I don't know if I could bring myself to do that, you know. The majority of us black folks voted. Okay, so I'm getting out there fighting for
black
rights, for the interests and stuff, you know, like that, because those black men and women that did get out there and vote, you know, whatever, they're in, you know, when the police start brutalizing us and getting away with it and stuff like that, I'm out there protesting because the majority of us did get out there and vote, you know. But if it's one of those, excuse the expression, niggas that you know, that voted for Trump, and then they get out there and the police is dragging them through the street, and then they post something across social media. Here's one of those Trump supporters. Guess what? I ain't. It's you know, no love. You know, no. You know, I'm not having no sympathy. I'm not doing the Bible religion thing. Oh, God, this and God bless, you know.
Or the Democrat thing.
And I'm not, you know. So there might be, you know, but for the most part, I got to put my black ass back out on them streets.
We all do.
Protest. I got to get them, you know, protest, you know, writing to Congress and shit. You know, I got to do. I thought that shit was kind of over. You know, that I could just cruise through, getting older and cruise through. But it's like the fight never ends. You know, and just like our relatives and ancestors had to get out there and fight. You know, we've been through more, folks. We have been through. Our ancestors went through slavery. We've been through elections like this, you know, kind of like this before. Not to this, you know, whatever. We've had to fight shit like this. We've had to fight Jim Crow.
What the lady said, she had to pay to vote.
You had to pay, yeah. They had marbles and everything. You had to guess how many marbles was in the thing, or guess how many pieces of candy was in this jar. You'd be filled up with stuff. In order for you to go vote, you had to, you know, guess how many marbles was in there, and you know, whatever, or go. You know, the white people didn't have to pay to go vote, know? And you had to go give. And we were poor. We didn't have any money, you know, and stuff. And then we had to take, you know,
so
and that tells you,
am I gonna feed you or I'm gonna
vote? So that tells you that person went out to go vote and had to pay her last hard-earned money. That tells you how important it was, you know, for us to get the right to vote. Okay. And for you slum dogs, whatever the hell y'all are, who wanted to go and vote for Trump, you know, and forget about
Uncle Tom's.
Yeah, Uncle Tom's and stuff, and forget about the people who got you here.
Right.
You know, then I have no sympathy for you. You
Right.
know? And I don't have to do that whole Bible shit that everybody do. You gotta love everybody. You gotta forgive, you know, and stuff, you know, like that. Here's another one of those instances, you know, that's not on my agenda. Okay. So, you know, for y'all out there who want to go do that and bless their heart, you know, and we gotta be this and do so and so, so and so. Not for them.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people, you know, felt that way. Like when they come get y'all, I'm sorry, y'all voted for them or whatever. But yeah, but we do need to get out there and fight. It makes our voice amplified. It makes it more heard when we have a group of people that push against those injustices. Hey, lady. And then I have like, you know, community support is essential. You know, get with your community and uplift people. You know, a lot of people are down in the dumps. A lot of people are on the verge of losing, you know, some of their rights. We just named some of them. Some of them are elderly or may lose their Medicare and benefits and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So we want to keep them encouraged and, you know, make sure they're here so they can actually help make a change and be able to be counted as a voter too when it's time to vote again, you know, because, you know, it could be discouraging, it could be sad or whatever, but as a community, let's come together and just uplift each other and make sure we're sharing correct information. You know, you can do this by doing an online forum. You can just get a group in a neighborhood or whatever. I even challenge Alvin for, you know, for me and like some of my friends and some of your friends, since you're like really into this, lead up a group for us. So where like, when you know there's something, let's all go out there and protest together. You know what I mean? Keep, you know, even though
I'm going to go protest, but you know, I'm not gonna.
No, I'm just saying it's an option. You know, you're not obligated to do it.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. But a lot of people talk a lot of smack. Okay, they say they want to go out and protest, or they say they want to do something. It's just like with a lot of shit they want to do. They say they want to. Oh, I want to do and so and so. But when it comes down to it, they don't go do shit. You know, and then you know. I'm not going to keep wasting my time saying, let's, you know, come out, let's protest, let's write to Congress, let's do so and so, you know, and then when you say, oh yeah, I want to do that, and then when it gets time come to go do it, then they got every excuse of why they can't get out there.
But it's not everyone.
Charles, you're taking it.
No,
literally.
no.
I'm talking figuratively. I didn't say everyone. I know everyone is.
I mean, I'm trying to give you that push to not give up. Don't give up.
But no, I'm not giving up. Okay. I don't give up on that. I've been protesting all my life.
You're just saying you hate when you have those type of people in your group.
I have done that before, where I say, you know, y'all, you know, we can be talking about this. Like right now, we can be talking about this, you know, and then when it comes down to it, when the time comes, you know, to put your foot into action, you know, then they have every excuse of why they can't get out there. Okay. And then those of us who are going to get out there, we're going to get out there. But a lot of people, just like with anything else in life, oh yeah, I want to go on that vacation. Oh yeah, they hear everybody, oh yeah, I want to go. And then when the time comes, they don't go, you know, and they make up excuses of why, you know, whatever, after everybody else done, you know, said I'm doing, you know, whatever. Then, you know, it's excuses and stuff.
Yeah.
That shit happens, you know, that shit happens with when people are going out to protest or to go, just to go, to go to a group, to go somewhere else to a group or something to help push, help talk about legislation or to go, I'm all over the place, but, they make up excuses when the time comes to put your foot to the fire. So, you can put it out there, but, there's people already now saying they ain't going to do shit, and there's people saying, I am going to do shit. The ones who are really going to go do it are going to actually get out there and do it. Most of the ones who say I'm going to go do it, they're not going to do it. Just like they don't write their congressmen and shit. They don't go vote in their local elections. Okay. So, and that's the step right there. Go vote in your local election. That's that will help change a lot for you. You know, there's a lot out there. No, I'm okay. I'm just saying,
So
yeah, you might put that to me, okay, but when the time comes, maybe one or two who said, it might be 10 of us or something, and one or two is going to actually come through. The other ones, they just talking, just like always.
I know I don't like that either, but I mean, hey, everything that I've named under my list of what we can do now, there's a possibility. There's going to be some people that's going to research. There's going to be some people that's not. There's going to be some people that's going to, get on the front lines and be an activist, and you know what? And then there's going to be some that's not. There's going to be some that's going to do this community support group thing and online forums to get information out, and there's not. But the thing is, just do it. And I mean, if people fall out, they fall out. But if no one does it, we'll never see it, because everybody, sometimes people just need a leader or a push or whatever, or just someone that they're in relationship with, that, oh, I trust you. And yeah, thank you for thinking about me. Because we can invite people to everything else. If there's a concert, oh, come to the concert. If there's that's a party, we call each other out to, you going to the club, all this kind of stuff, or they doing this, we can invite people to, and half of the people probably gonna say, no, I can't make it because I got this, but that doesn't stop you from inviting them. So invite the people, and whoever shows up, they show up, and whoever doesn't, they don't. But if you never invite me, then I'm prone in the society that we live in to just stay at home and do nothing. But because of your invite, it might push me or whatever. And then that's basically my next thing. Just keep pushing for change in future elections. Know that your voting counts. Also, get your mental and emotional state, check. I mean, I think everyone should have a therapist, or some kind of self-care practice or whatever, because I know we're going through a lot. I know that a lot of us are discouraged. So that's something that some of you may need to do. Just get your mental state back. Get back to positivity, because at some point, you got to shut all that noise down, especially if you're listening to a lot of, I hated, I think one of the videos we said, I think the last guy, he was like, y'all talking about what did she do wrong? Who wants to hear that right now? I had to just shut that down. I'm like, I heard enough. Out of all that she done, she had celebrities up there. She had people come give their life experiences and all this kind of stuff. She said that she would do this and do that. Y'all made marijuana a thing. She said she was going to legalize marijuana. You know what I mean? Y'all made the jail thing a thing, and she said she was going to do something about that. The housing thing. She made all these, changes and all these, policies to benefit y'all, and you still, did what you did or whatever. But my thing is, at some point, you have to just shut that down, because I don't want to discuss what she should have did, or she should have did this, or she should have said that. We're past that now. Let's get out there and make a change. And lastly, just stay active, stay engaged in political discourse. Let's not let this be the last time we talk about political stuff. Let's keep this, going. Anytime we see something going through the administration or policies or whatever, let's talk about it. Let's, organize, advocate, and just continue to demand the changes that we want. Remember that every vote counts, every conversation, every action that you take, it all counts, and it leads to our progress.
Okay, well, I just say we can, don't give up. I mean, we need everybody. Even though I know majority ain't going to come out. The ones that do come out are usually the ones who always do, or whatever. But there's all type of ways you can get involved to try to help. Don't become complacent, and don't let them win.
Right.
Because if we don't do anything,
right.
And if the majority of us just let this slide, we're going to be in an autocracy. You know, we are going to be in a fascist society.
Mm-hmm.
And there's enough hate out there already with these. Never mind. But anyway, everybody, appreciate you for joining us today.
Yes.
Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And
This Sunday, everybody.
Right. We appreciate you for joining us.
Oh, and our friends at KKMS, let me give you their website, www.kkmsdallas.com.
You want me to do that? You want me to put that?
No, because we've already. I'll just just know that first Friday is passed, but they will have something on third Friday, so be looking out for that. You can check all their social media. They have Instagram, and also they're on Facebook as well. And then the third Friday, of course, they have Saturdays, right? They do something on Saturdays, and of course Sundays is now at XOXO.
Saturdays they're at Mila.
Okay, Saturdays
4 o'clock starts at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock at Mila's, and then Sundays they're at XOXO, and they're probably still there right now. So if you're in Dallas, go ahead and catch them catch them before they close it down or whatever. But hey, thank you guys for joining us, and check them out. They're a great group of people.
Omani Arma, the Black Colin Powell, down with the Kings. Let's go. A few days ago, I recalled this line. It inspired me to write this rhyme, so I wrote the rhyme I'm about to say. But first, rest in peace to Jam Master Jay. Second one for all, we represent the Trinity, a piece of the divinity, masculinity, femininity. Though we look differently, we are made in God's imagery. That's just a facsimile. I believe in you, cause in God we trust. Down with royalty, but up with my niggas. Down with patriarchal philosophy. No checkers or chess, this is monopoly over my life. No human reigns sovereign. Nobility ain't the goal, it's the problem. All traditions and doctrines, continent or quadrants being common is what we have in common. One day it will all make sense. The African continent has left its fingerprints, putting faces on dollars doesn't make sense. Pan-Africanism doesn't need a prince. No monarchy, no cops or thugs as grand marquis. Here's the real story, the property is feudalism on stolen property. The serf lives in poverty. They say we need rulers to avoid anarchy. Suspend primary, no matter your party. Trump robbery or Biden malarkey. Modern pharaohs are just oligarchy. No pyramid schemes, we're straight with no ruler. To all my brand Nubians, we're all grand poobas. Don't need James Cook, don't need a kahuna. No Charles or Cortez, no Montezuma, no Mansa Musa. And suffering it brings. Change the name to 1,000 different things in every language. This is a song that I sing. Down with the king.